What's up and welcome to episode 37 of How Not to Summon a Podcast. As always, I'm Shinny Senpai, and this week I'm joined by the man to my left, Jim.
Hello.
And the man to my right, Grayson.
You're right, Scuba Gang.
And this week we are going to be talking about episode 1 to 7 of the anime Orange. And we're going to be taking it seriously. We're bringing down the tone again. We want to reset everyone's palate a little bit. And
Considering we watched shit last week.
considering Ghost in the Shell and Kakagure and things like that, we thought, why not reset the palette and do this? So, Orange. The genre of Orange, it's a romantic slice of life. It's got
romance elements.
For once, it gets it right.
Yeah.
It is a romantic slice of life.
Yeah, but
I
it's got a
normally
little bit
disagree
of
with genres.
a little bit of supernatural in it as well.
Yeah, sci-fi.
Yeah, but that takes a
Very
back
slightly,
seat.
but yeah, it does take a back seat.
That takes a massive back seat. You
It's got
don't really...
sci-fi.
Yeah, it's got sci-fi, but you don't really think about it. And I prefer the slice of life.
Massive talk at the end about fucking alternate universes and...
Yeah, they
Is there
kind of...
one? Is there many? Is it fucking a mirror? Is it...
It's odd because the teacher does it early on, and that's probably enough. But yeah, they like to refresh you and say, don't forget this was said earlier on, which I don't mind. Anyway, it was directed by Hiroshi Hamasaki and Naomi Nakayama. They're not known for much else. It was sort of they went twos up on it as a project, and I think they've done a really good job.
Yeah, I think they have as well.
But yeah, the studio...
You don't get many collabs.
No.
To be fair.
This is...
In anything, really.
Yeah, this is really the first time. They obviously got a male and a female interpretation.
Which is really
was
good,
as well.
because you get both sides
Yeah.
of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Would be the right word for it.
So the studio they picked up was Telecom Animation Film. They're known for doing things like Tower of God, which is a really popular anime at the minute, and Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. Another very popular anime at the minute. They're all very new. Only Tower of God's been dubbed. The other one hasn't yet.
So you've only watched Tower of God then?
I have seen Tower of God.
There we go.
Of course you have.
And now we'll jump into some of the vocal actors. So obviously I'm going to highlight each member of the core group.
Just quickly on the producers.
Yes.
The guys.
The producers.
Straight away! You
Just
fucking
quickly on
golden goose.
the two people that made this.
There
Yes.
we go. The producers.
Yeah, producers.
Producers, yeah.
See, now you've completely killed
The
where I
directors.
was. Yeah, the directors.
Hiroshi
of
and
it.
Naomi.
I was going to say, is this one of the first things they've ever done?
Yes, yeah, it's their biggest project.
So they're being given bigger projects now because I would say probably Orange was so successful by the sounds of it. And actually, it's very
Was
rare.
it successful? Because until you mentioned it, I'd not heard of it.
Probably successful in the market.
Not
that it
as
was
much
in.
as you probably
Really?
would have thought.
Yeah, I don't think this would have been... I think this is one of those that would have developed a cult rather than a pop.
It's really odd, really, considering the quality of it, that it wasn't as successful as you think, really.
Is this possibly how they would then put onto bigger projects and to more projects?
I would say that if they haven't got more work after this, why
I'd
haven't
be
they got
very
more?
surprised.
Yeah.
Well, they
They
have
haven't.
because of
Yeah.
what you've already said, that they've got these two new anime. So
No, that's
obviously-
just the studio that's picked them up, not the directors.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same. That's the studio that did the Tower of God and things like that. But the directors and that, they not yet anyway, by the looks of it. Nothing.
I'm surprised.
notable.
How old is Orange?
It's not very old, is it?
No, I don't think it's very old. Maybe
What, 2 years?
Should we Google
I mean,
this?
anime wise, yeah. Let's have a Google.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, it's been a while.
Dun, 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 dun. Really? Intermission. Oh my god, both of you.
2016.
There you go. So
And it's
technically-
called Orange Future.
Is that the manga?
Yes, probably.
I would imagine
no,
so.
that's
Yeah.
the anime.
No, it might be the anime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is... No, that still looks like a movie.
So, in retrospect, a 6-year-old anime isn't necessarily old. Not really.
No.
Not considering people wait around for 6, 7, 8 years for a second season of
I
certain
know,
animes.
it took
so
4.5, maybe 5 years, I believe, for fucking Attack on Titan Season 2.
So in retrospect, it's not that old.
There's a
Especially if
film.
you've got a catalogue. There is a film.
There is a film. The original run of the show was 2016.
And then they've decided to cut loads of bits out and make a film out of it.
I mean, what did we talk about, Sheeny, on the way around here?
And there's a live action film.
Yes, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd heard about the
Anything successful romance-wise, they
Slice of
tend
life-wise
to,
as well.
slice of life-wise, they do tend to make films out of.
They came out the same year, the anime film and the anime show. How odd.
Maybe they...
It's not something I would have liked to have seen sliced down into a film.
No, you couldn't.
But it would
fit all of
work.
that.
We've already said it would work.
Well, then you just get in the
it
notebook
would work,
or
but
whatever.
you-
It's not the notebook.
the notebook.
Yes.
Is it the notebook?
Yeah, I think so. Or the
The magic post
magic
box.
pants, I was going to say.
The magic post box where they write letters to each other, but they're at different times.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
find
the
out
one
till
Is
the
that
that
end.
you're on
Keanu
about.
Reeves? And
I don't remember who's
Yeah,
in
I-
it. Fuck me, it was shit.
isn't it called The Lake House or something like that?
Something like
Yeah.
that, maybe.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't like to have seen this spliced down. This needed to be 13 episodes instead of 12.
It didn't. It needed to be 12. 12 would have been fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
no.
was fine with 13.
Yeah, I was
I
fine
was-
with 13.
It got a bit daunting.
So before we've shit on this anime... And
I'm not going to shit on it.
No, we've shit on anime for not having the amount of episodes to make it go through to its natural conclusion and breaking things off and actually using and cutting.
Natural conclusion is a dangerous way to put it.
Yeah, but that is what we're on about here. Like, we've seen animes that have cut early and we've cut things down just to fit into 12 episodes.
I
Well,
don't
this
feel like anything
didn't.
was missed.
Yeah, nothing was
that's
missed on
just
this one.
Some things just went on a bit too long that you could have got rid of about 20 minutes.
So an episode.
Not uncomfortably too long,
Yeah.
but just some things I'd have gone, that could have been 30 seconds shorter. That could have been 2 minutes.
I think
shorter.
Slice of Life always paces itself
It
like that.
really does.
Slice
I
of
know
Life
it
has
does.
a tendency to give you what
The
you ask
stars
for.
and
Slice
the
of
sky
life.
and everything else that's in between.
And
I love those
classroom
shots.
life
I
and-
fucking love those shots.
Yeah.
It's just every now and then I'm just like, that 2 minutes could have been cut. And if I would have added all those up, we probably could have got rid of
Yes,
the
because
episode.
those bits don't add value to the story as such,
It's
but they are
pacing.
just Slice of
It's
Life.
pacing.
But
Yeah.
they
It's
also
to
flesh
slow
out
it
the
down.
entire
'Cause that's
story.
what Slice
They,
of Life is.
they flesh out not the story but the world.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
it means it's not so
I think it's
rushed.
purely a pacing thing.
Yeah.
It's just to slow the show down a lot, rather than rushing through and to make it adventurous and fast paced. You get those shots to really slow the pace down. and
Yeah,
make
no,
you-
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at times this did need slowing down a little bit because it was taking it a bit too
Yeah.
far at points, and you were like, "Oh, it's getting a bit much."
If it was getting heavy,
you
so
need
you
a
were like,
reset.
cut it back a bit,
Yeah.
and then dial it down again, guys, and then bring it back.
Anyway, let's get into some of the voice actors, or our main group of voice actors. So Naho. Naho is voiced by Jill Harris. Jill Harris is known for being Nino in the Quintessential Quintuplets.
Okay.
And she's also Noelle, which is one of the lead female characters in Black Clover. A very long-running anime series. It's got over, I think
know
it's
of that
200-odd episodes
Yeah,
or
I
something.
know of it. Never
Then
seen
we've got Kakaru. Kakaru is voiced by Mika
it. Go on. I have faith.
Use your words.
Sulsod.
Enunciate. You can't call him a sod.
Oh, you sod.
And he is known for being Yuno in Black Clover. So the main male protagonist in Black Clover. So they've taken them too and used them. And they're obviously used to working together. They have done for over 200 episodes of Black Clover. So
They have a
bounce off each
relationship.
other
You probably
very well.
wanted that comfortable and
Yeah.
familiarity.
Had a relationship already, so it's easier to get that interaction.
And then the next one is Hiroto, otherwise known as Suwa. His name is Hiroto, his first name. I know they use Suwa a lot, but it's very difficult in this because they call Naho Naho, which is her first name, but not Suwa, whose first name is Hiroto. So I'm going to call him Hiroto. He's voiced by Jason Librecht. He is known for being the Beast Titan and Zeke Yeager in Attack on Titan.
Okay.
And he's also Vulcan in Fire Force, the red-headed mechanic.
Okay. To be fair, I didn't actually get his voice for the Beast Titan.
I think it's
and stuff like
I
that.
think it's edited. for the
I
Beast
no, I
Titan.
think it's different because the Beast Titan is it is
It's like
because
edited.
it has to be deeper. as well.
and skid like more daunting and
Yeah.
Then we've got Azusa. She is voiced by Sarah Weidenheft. She is known for being Toru in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, the main female protagonist in that. They've actually picked out main protagonists from
So good
animes
voice
here.
actors.
Yeah.
In essence.
Even as like secondary characters in the group, they've picked out voice actors who are standalone voice actors themselves in well-known animes.
And it shows.
I think it does show.
It shows.
Yeah, it does show. Next up is Takako, voiced by Jean Tiraldo. We've had Jean before. She's known for being Norman in The Promised Neverland.
Yep.
Again, another mainstream character that's picked out to play a background character almost. In
That's
fact,
the
she's...
glasses guy, right?
No. Takako is the slightly aggressive, black-haired one of the group. Yeah. And last up is Saku, who's voiced by, which is the funny guy, voiced by Dave Trosco.
I liked this guy.
I like this guy.
Only one who's not well known for stuff. In fact...
But he was arguably the best voice there.
He was that comedic relief that was so necessary to this whole thing.
He was the reset
hard
button.
to do. That's hard to do as
Very
a voice
hard
actor.
to do. Yeah. But
I would disagree slightly because of the way he was told to act it, because he was the straight man, and voicing a straight man that just talks in this sort of accent and goes, well, this is what we're supposed to do, which is what he does.
He shouted
Very
at everything.
matter of fact.
He shouted at everything.
Not that much. He's very matter of fact about everything.
his lines aren't long.
No.
He has specific one-liners and
Yeah.
He'll shout the odd thing every now and again when they're winding him up about Azusa and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, he was needed for this.
Massively
100%.
He's the unfunny guy that's just funny because of the fact that he's trying not to be funny.
Yeah, basically.
He knows
He is
it's
the
funny.
reset
He
button.
knows it's funny.
I mean, we did.
He just
as well.
delivers it dry.
Yeah.
And a funny fact about him was that he played the older LeFleur brother in Space
Fuck
Dandy.
off. And it's all come full circle. Season 2 on the way.
It's the only time we're going to mention Space Danny in this entire episode.
I saw that in his voice acting credits and I thought, that's quite funny. He was the older LeFleur brother. So,
Season 2 confirmed.
before we dive into episode 1, anyone want to take a stab at some ratings? So, IMDb, what do you reckon?
8.1. I'd put it around an 8.1 as a guess for... No, they normally get it wrong, don't they?
What, IMDb?
Both of them and Rotten Tomatoes.
9.2.
I'm going to go with an 8.5 on IMDb and probably, 9.1, 9.2 on Rotten Tomatoes.
So, I couldn't find anything on
No.
Rotten Tomatoes, I'll tell you
No?
that now. No.
Okay.
But I got a Crunchyroll rating.
Okay. What's their rating
so-
system? Out of 5? Out of 10?
Out of 5.
Out of 5. 4.5.
4.5, yeah, I would have gone
Right,
4.5.
so Crunchyroll gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Hey!
Yep. And IMDb gave this a 7.6 out of 10.
It's a fair rating.
Is it?
It's not an insult.
I feel insulted. For
I
something.
feel insulted with that rating. 7.6 is...
Considering some of the shite that we've seen go through that.
Attack on Titan, I know. It's shit. Season 1 is fucking horrendous.
It was a low-hanging fruit. You swung for it. But I agreed with my therapist. I wouldn't argue with you.
I'm glad I make you need one.
Yes, pretty much.
Stop blowing your dad then.
And
This is
with-
why I drink.
So let's dive into episode 1 of Orange. Episode 1 opens with what we can see is a group of friends, and they're standing outside of the school, and they're digging up a time capsule. Not something a normal group of friends would do.
No, your generation.
Not my generation. No.
My generation, every school, every year put down time capsules.
Really?
People became obsessed. I think Blue Peter did it, which is a kids show for our American audience that, like, it does everything. Shows you latest technology. You can write letters to them and show art and they try to make stuff. It's a bit of everything. Time capsules were a big deal in the 90s.
I think there was one time capsule put down at my school, primary
And
school.
there was usually, you probably walked over and they usually got a copper
little
disc or a bronze disc on the
yeah.
top of it.
A
And
little
it probably
plate.
looks a bit like a drain.
Yeah, I have
Probably didn't
not
notice them.
seen one, no.
He went to a Catholic school.
Private Catholic school.
He went to a Catholic school. They don't believe in the future.
Judgment Day is upon us.
They believe in the ruler. That's it.
The group pull out a photo from the time capsule.
That's
That
what they-
really threw him, didn't it?
And the group pull out a photo and they talk about how it's been 10 years since they last put the capsule in the ground. And they're all now 26 years old. This is when we meet mainly Naho for the first time. And she's talking about regret. And that she has so much regret for what happened. And you're kind of sitting there and you're like, I mean, you've already seen the photo, so you know any member of the group isn't there. But it doesn't sort of lend on to much until later on.
Still didn't know what the hell was going on. To be honest, at this point, you don't get any information on it.
The only information you get is that Naho has big regrets, and then that's it. That's all you sort of find out. And then we jump, and we see a young Naho, and she's just about heading off to school, and she finds a letter on her doorstep. She takes the time, she opens it. It's a letter from herself, but she doesn't read it. She just sees that it's addressed from herself. I mean, even if you're late for school, you're reading this letter, right? You're like, that's my handwriting. That's a letter from me to me. What's going on?
To be fair, I'd be there for about 3 years trying to read my handwriting.
To be fair, we've seen Sheeny's handwriting 1,000 times.
Yeah.
He probably just thinks, oh, that's a doctor's letter coming in.
It must have rained on this page. It's a bit smudged.
So she doesn't read it, and she rushes off to school. And she also mentions the fact that she's got a diary, and that she writes in it about her days. Who has a diary these days? Is it an old thing? You have a diary?
I have a journal, yeah.
You have a journal?
Consistently since I was about 7 or 8.
Every day?
Not every day, no.
Or just important things?
No, it's like 3 or 4 times a week.
Once a week. Not me. I don't have a diary.
No, it's. I think it's quite an outdated thing.
I think it is an outdated thing. When you can message all your problems instantly and you can sort them out online, or, you just go through them in your own head.
Grayson's going to write a book eventually one day with his diary, I'm sure.
No one wants to read my journals.
Nobody could read your journal because nobody can read your writing.
I have a fancy fountain pen and everything.
It's invisibility.
And it's leather bound. Mm-hmm. I know.
It has one of those heart locks on it.
I like my journal.
Heart lock.
You're not wrong. My journal's like I like my women. Just leather and thick. It's good.
And with a metal lock on.
With a chastity belt.
A chastity belt. It has a name, Jim.
A metal lock. So, Naho gets to class, and it's only then that she decides that she's going to open up the letter. As she opens up the letter, a new student gets introduced to the class. The new student is Kakaru. She looks down, and the letter mentions literally that Kakaru was going to join that class that day. And it also talks about, like, how she overslept and things like that. It basically says what she planned to write in the diary that day, it repeats it to her. Now, at this point, are you not freaking out?
I mean, a little bit. You would be a little bit that it's calling your day shot for shot. You'd be a little freaked out.
Absolutely shot for shot. And it's actually called the fact that a new student's come in and their name.
To be honest, only reading the first bit, I would just be like, did this new guy send this letter to me? Because he would know.
Who I've never met before.
That'd be my first thing.
Yes.
Well, the only things that you've read so far is that this guy's going to enter the classroom, and he knows he's going to enter that classroom.
Yeah, and he knows his own name.
Yes.
But what he didn't know was what the thoughts that were going through your head that morning.
That's true. That is true.
About what you were planning on writing in it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'd be freaked out instantly. I would probably put the letter away. And
you
just
are
be like,
you are reading that letter in its entirety.
Right, can we address 2 things? One thing annoyed me, right? They all never read ahead until much later. You're reading the whole fucking thing, right?
I would read the whole thing. I guess
they read it day by day. These fucking lunatics.
Well, no, they're reading the next day, so that they can deal with the next day. I suppose they're reading it, planning, reading, planning.
You'd read it all the way through, and then you go, right, this day I need to do this, and then you might do it that way.
Quite honestly, right, you're reading the day, the end day, day X, right at the end there, and you're going, I've only got to stop that.
I'd look all the way to the end, and then go,
I've just got to be at this crossroad at this time, and that'll do.
And just like push him out.
And you're not actually helping anything, and you think you are, but.
I guess.
Although, if you're reading the letter and the letter is from yourself and it's saying specifically, you must do this, you must do that, you must do this, then maybe you are taking it a little bit seriously and doing those things. Although, unlike them, you're kind of following the letter to a T, aren't you? I know they don't have a choice because obviously the more they follow it to a T, the actual more they can't follow it to a T, almost.
I probably wouldn't.
I change the previous day. The next day is going to be different.
Exactly.
I probably wouldn't believe the letter until like what happens after that first day.
But what Sheena said, eventually that letter's going to be wrong.
That's
what you're saying. If you fuck around with one day, the next day is not going to be the same as what it was 10 years ago when that letter was written.
It's not.
Or 10 years in the future when the letter
it's the butterfly effect.
It's the butterfly effect, yeah.
Yeah.
You never watched the butterfly effect.
You know what the butterfly effect is, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain it?
No.
No. You explain the butterfly effect to us, Jimmy.
No.
Class is in session. Teacher has asked you a question.
You are definitely not a teacher.
Ashton Kutcher, butterfly effect.
Yes, I have watched it. It's where he does one thing and then it affects the next thing and then that affects the next thing.
Yes, but what specifically is the butterfly effect?
Well, like I just said, if you change one thing, then everything else
why is it
around
called the
that
butterfly
will
effect?
Because it has a ripple effect throughout time and it changes things. All right, well, fuck yourself, then.
Grayson, why is it called the butterfly effect?
It's because it's an actual metaphor, isn't it? It's when a butterfly flaps its wings, while it might not change anything instantly, the shock of those wings can spread.
So a ripple effect.
Everything.
And it's also an expression that if you were to go back in time and even just step on a butterfly, that can have drastic changes in the future simply because you kill a butterfly, then the animal that might have been eaten, the butterfly might not then eat the butterfly, which then might mean that it dies and so on and so forth. It's supposed to be a knock-on.
So a ripple effect.
A chain of events.
Yes. Exactly what I just said.
It turns more into
effect.
a tidal wave because you're drastically changing the future because of a very small incident in the past.
Yes.
But that doesn't seem to happen here.
At all.
Because of the parallel universe.
In essence, they're not drastically changing anything, I guess. So everything's still following a certain path.
Because of the multiverse theory.
His grandma was in one place where she shouldn't have fucking been. That's drastically changing some things.
Multiverse theory.
I guess only if she was to then have an effect herself by being in that
She would have affected everyone that she talked to or interacted with.
Yeah, possibly. Unless she had no effect and you just spoke to her and she
just stayed at home the whole time.
She didn't change her life in any way.
The wall.
It's not...
Put herself on charge. I'll just wait here till he comes home.
But that's why it's the multiverse theory.
Well, it argues between both.
This is the multiverse theory, but we'll get into that. So
there's one more thing.
Yes.
One more thing. Why does every male protagonist we've watched recently look like fucking Kirito from Sword Art Online?
Yes, he does. He really did.
It looks like different art styles of Kirito.
Yeah. Kakagurui was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, we can't say that about Ghost in the Shell.
Dark-haired prick.
Yeah, they have a generic go-to for what an attractive guy should look like in an
Is that what it is? It's to make them attractive.
Yes,
okay, cool.
Yeah. That's
a good enough explanation for me. I just wondered why.
Yeah, it's their sort of go-to attractive guy has this sort of style and
the
look.
Dark, scruffy look with...
Well, he's not supposed to be dark, is he?
No, but the dark hair, the blacker hair.
Yes, yeah. That is their sort of go-to, this is what is attractive.
Jim, you've got brown hair.
Oh.
So, the group...
You're saying there's a chap.
Some hair dye, yeah.
So the group all get together and they decide that they're going to invite Kakaru on his first day to hang out. And Naho sees in her letter that she shouldn't have invited him. The letter specifically says, under no circumstances whatsoever do you invite him. But she chooses to not listen because she doesn't believe the letter is what it is. Which you wouldn't.
You might question it at the start, but you're not going to be like... Oh.
I don't think the letter really pushed enough how important that was.
I mean, to be fair, what it really should say was, don't bring him along or else he will never see his mother who dies because of this decision.
I mean, yeah. If you'd have put it in black and white like that, you might have just been like, you know what?
Probably shouldn't allow this guy to come along.
Let's invite him tomorrow.
Yeah, come tomorrow.
Just in case, because fuck knows if this is right or not, or if it's going to, but if it does turn out to be true, I'm not being the cause for that.
I mean, like one paragraph. It just would have been one paragraph of, this will cause all of the problems down the line.
It is true. Yeah, what would have happened if she'd have followed that very first instruction?
Exactly. Well, it would have split off into the...
Yeah. It would have been a fucking Godzilla effect.
Massive.
It would have just been the multiverse theory. It would have just changed...
That would have been it. Yeah. Because he would have... His mum would never have then... Problem is, though, his attitude towards his mum wouldn't have changed. So would it have not happened eventually anyway? Because he still had that teenage animosity towards his mother.
Yeah.
And he would have continued to have that, and because obviously she suffered from mental illnesses... She eventually...
It might not have happened that day. It might have happened another day.
But it would have happened another day. I think so. I think it would have ended up happening anyway. I mean, she was restricting him from his life as well by banning him from joining teams. And
then
because he was being bullied and stuff, wasn't
she? Had a reason, but she never spoke to him.
She dealt with it very badly.
Very badly.
Yeah,
to the point where he
don't
hated
hide
her.
them away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think solving that one time, yeah, maybe it might have happened later down the line, but he might not have felt like he was the cause of it. Because the reason why he feels like he was the cause of it because of the final message.
Yeah, I get that. And
not the final
her message kind of stabbed that guilt in him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But after this scene, Kakaru decides that he's going to go with the group. We don't know why he's not supposed to go with the group or anything like that, because the letter doesn't go into detail. He goes off with the group. We get a little of...
You've had 10 years to write this fucking letter.
You've had 10 years.
And you don't think maybe that's why...
Maybe I'll give him a bit of context.
And they do, right at the end, actually.
The letter doesn't even need to be long. The letter just needs to say on this day...
I'm pretty certain, like...
On this day, don't invite him because he won't see his mum for the final time.
The letter could have been sent a week before, explaining everything that was going to happen for the week so that you start to believe the letter, so that when the important incident happens, you're...
already on board.
Yeah.
You're fucking team letter at this point.
But obviously they have no control on when the letter's supposed to reach the person it's supposed to reach.
Yeah, this is true. Imagine if that had turned up like 5 months late.
In this country, it would.
UK, Royal
I'm
Mail.
still waiting for my cigars.
Second class post. Not even Black Holes would have got it here on time for the, Royal Mail postage service.
So so it leads into some slice of life stuff where we have Azusa, and she's we find out a bit about her and that her family runs a bakery. And
great soundtrack, by the way.
We
fucking loved every single minute of the music in this.
And she we get the little like who wants what bun and this, that, and the other, and then Kakaru notices that Naho picked a bun that she might not have wanted.
Those
and they
buns,
trade.
by the way, there's some real bangers in there, isn't there?
Fucking adventurous.
I'd have loved one of the lemon buns or one of the mango buns or something like that.
They're just normal buns. You can go to Starbucks.
Oh, I'm sorry. Which bun would you like?
The lemon muffin.
The curry bun.
That's the one that weirded me out. The fuck is a curry bun?
I would imagine it would be katsu curry. Powder.
In a bun.
Just a bun with some curry in the middle.
That's not normal.
Yeah, but we also have cinnamon buns, which have cinnamon in the middle.
Yeah, cinnamon's not curry.
With sweet bread. But this would be, I guess, savoury bread with curry in the middle.
That's not normal.
It's just a roll.
You're just
technically is a curry roll.
That's not normal.
Not in our country, no.
No.
But I would imagine in Japan it's probably normal.
It probably doesn't make it right.
The next bit we get is, as you highlighted, it's like a musical interlude of them all spending the day together, hanging out, and the music carries it along at a really nice pace.
It is. It was genuinely a pleasure just to sit and watch and listen.
A lovely day. And that's what the music portrays, isn't it, pretty much?
It was just a happy day.
I only had one fault with the art style as well. The rest of it was fucking phenomenal.
What's your fault?
We'll come to it.
The lips. Every now and then they looked... Are you guys in Final Space?
Yes.
Please tell
yes,
you.
Yeah, Gary.
They look like the real raw Gary every now and then. Go back and watch it. Every now and then it's just a real raw Gary.
The smolder.
It's just the lips were just overdrawn a little bit and it didn't look right. It looked like the real raw Gary.
Fair.
I thought you were going to say his...
But that is it. And it was only there, I noticed it maybe 2 or 3 times during the whole show.
Yeah. So... the day ends and we get Naho again at home, and she is about to write in her diary, and she stops and she goes back to the letter and she sort of compares it to her diary, and again, as she already knew, word for word, she writes in what she was thinking that she'd already seen in the letter anyway.
Unless she had read ahead.
And then I guess the question is it what she was thinking, or is she thinking it because of the letter?
Well, that's what I thought.
Then you get stuck in a paradox.
She's wrote it in, but she'd already read it in the letter anyway, and it was kind of like... what? And then she's surprised that it's in the letter, and I was like, well,
yeah,
but you knew it was going to be in the letter.
Which one came first, then?
Yeah, it's weird.
Is it the thought or the letter?
Yeah, but we know it's not her diary that's been sent to her. It's a handwritten letter.
Yeah.
Not a diary entry. Which you have to remember, obviously, because otherwise you'd just like, oh, no, her future self sent her past self her diary, but she didn't. She sent a handwrote letter saying, do this, do that.
Then that would be the future diary. And that's a whole different kettle of fish, that
Get
one.
out.
I mean, that would have changed this dramatically.
Surely every diary is the past diary.
Yeah, well, yeah, it details the past.
Yeah. So what's a future diary?
A future diary would detail everything
coming.
you were going to do in the future or think in the future.
Which you wrote down in the diary. So basically, what you're supposed to write in your diary for next week
Journal.
would already be in there.
Journal.
It's a diary.
The future is what you write it.
Men have journals.
It's a diary.
It's a journal.
So
Dear diary.
Dear journal.
So the next day, everyone goes to school, and we get no Kakaru. He's not turned up. He's not come in, and this happens for a while. He's off school for, is it around a week
I think
or
it's
so?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So he is missing for 2 weeks. So Naho decides to look at the letter because the letter might hold the answer as to what's happened to him.
Are you ignoring his letter for 2 weeks?
Well, no, she reads it
The
like
minute
the day
he doesn't
after.
show up the next day,
you-
I'd be
And
like, fuck,
and you
what have
You
remember-
would have read it that fucking night.
well, you know the letter said don't invite him. Under no circumstances do you invite him. He doesn't turn up the next day, and you're like, okay.
Fuck,
Hold
okay.
on a minute.
Hold on a minute. Did I just kill this guy?
Yes, that's your first go-to. That is
Yeah.
your first go-to. You're like, oh fuck, has he killed himself? Not yet.
That's exactly my response.
Just rolls his eyes. And when she's reading through the letter, she sees not why he's not there. She sees the words that she wrote that she fell in love with Kakaru. That's what she reads. She reads that sentence. This was the day I fell in love with Kakaru. That's the bit that she highlights out of all the bad stuff in the letter. That's the bit that stands out for her. 2 weeks later, I did write it down. 2 weeks later, Kakaru comes back, and all he says to everyone is that he was just ditching for 2 weeks. He couldn't be bothered. He had stuff on, couldn't come to school.
Oh, the bad boy look. Oh,
And
I was off for 2 weeks.
He's got the cross necklace as well.
Yeah, he has.
He must have got that from Vin Diesel.
Or from Catholic school.
Family.
La Familia.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
his La Familia was not too strong.
so we get the moment then when they're all out and they're on the baseball field, and they're talking about the fact that this school team that they're playing against has got this new pitcher who's really good. They're like going pro, and this looks like a fucking hench dude, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was supposed to be a
Was this
girl.
a dude?
It is a girl.
You just said hench dude.
I mean,
I thought it was a chick.
yeah, it is a chick, but
Well, it might be.
she's butch.
She's strong.
Hmm.
Let's not use the term butch.
Sorry. And in Naho's letter, it says that she is to accept the request to hit. So obviously she's not sure what the hell's going on at this point. She's just like, well, what's that mean?
Because she wusses out.
Yeah, the letter basically says that in the past she decided not to, and her friend Azusa got struck out, and it was just a bad time for everybody.
She felt like she'd let them down, and that would be a good time to make it up.
And it happens again. She gets asked, can you hit for us? And she backs down. And Kakaru comes in and he actually backs her up and is like, oh, no, she doesn't want to do it. She's hurt. He actually says, oh, she's hurt and she can't do it. And she is actually genuinely hurt, isn't she?
Yes.
If I remember rightly. She actually does have
Well, no, her shoes are too big. It's just she's got blisters.
That's it. She's got a blister.
Now, we've all played football at one point in our lives. You've
Yeah,
played
and-
through blisters, haven't you?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, you fucking
But
have.
not
And
because
it's-
my shoes are
and
too
it's
fucking big.
baseball.
Yeah.
It's not like you're running on it constantly.
Stand, run to the next base.
Walk.
Yeah.
You could probably walk.
Or get a home run.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to do any running then.
So she decides that she's actually going to do it. She doesn't want to not do what the letter says at this point. So she goes, she steps up. It's a bit of a cheat sheet, though, because the letter actually tells her exactly where the pitch is
gonna
coming.
be, yep.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cheat sheet.
To be honest, looking back at this letter, they could have at least gave us some advice for the next 10 years.
Are we supposed to believe that this...
Could have given her the lottery numbers.
Yeah.
Could have.
Could have.
Are we supposed to believe that this, 90-pound Japanese girl can hit a home run?
I believe anybody could. As
If-
long as they hit it with the right area.
No.
Velocity and...
Yeah. The angle and everything like
No.
that.
With a big enough lever, everything is possible, but no. Not with a baseball bat and her being 90 pounds and fucking, 16.
I'll have you know. Right.
I was once a 90-pound Japanese girl.
And on that day, I hit a home run.
And I became Jim.
Son.
Jim San. That just sounds like a sandwich.
This sounds like a flower.
The Jim San.
Jim San sounds
Well, there's a ginseng.
sounds like a-
ginseng is a,
Jim Singers,
is
yeah.
a thing.
I would say it sounds like a drink.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cocktail of some kind.
Get a nice, refreshing gym, son.
The home run.
It'll hit you for 6. That's the British version of softball.
Anyway, she hits the home run. We get then the scene where she's injured and Kakaru comes over and he's like, let me help you and plaster up your poorly foot. And
Your blister.
She didn't even walk the bases, by the way.
She did.
Did she?
Yeah, you saw her walk into one and then it kind of cut.
And then the letter, she remembers that the letter says that she's to encourage Kakaru to play soccer, to join the I don't want to say
Football.
that. To join the football team.
Football.
And so she speaks to him about that, and she tells him to play football, and she's also like, I've been watching you play, and you're really good, and you should play more.
Creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy.
I've been watching you through my letters and in real life.
And the episode ends with them jumping back to what is her future self, and we see that she's with Hiroto.
This bit annoyed me a little bit.
And he's gone to buy flowers, and everyone's like, why are you buying flowers, Hiroto? And he's like, there's a reason I'm getting the flowers. And they mention that 10 years into the future, Kakaru is gone. And that's how the episode ends. What annoyed you about Hiroto?
Because they're trying to change the past, not knowing if it'll permanently change their past or an alternate universe's past. That's the big thing, is you don't know if there's a multi-universe theory or a single universe, and it changes everything.
No, they do. Because Hagata explains it to them when they decide to send the letters. He's like, you do realise that if it's true that you can't alter the future or
if it's
this
true,
timeline,
suggests that they don't know.
You're still taking that shot in the dark.
They're taking that shot in
Their
the
love
dark while
for
he's holding a fucking newborn baby.
I know, but their love for Kakaru and the hurt that
You're
they
not
feel,
risking it.
they're that torn up about
You're
it.
not risking it. I don't give a fuck
You're
who
not?
you are. You're not risking it. You're holding your newborn baby. And you're like, let's maybe erase this.
Well, I'm forever living with the guilt that
Yeah.
he's died.
Yeah.
But you can't
But then you're
change
going to... A decision he made, because he did make that decision to die. He
did.
killed himself.
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
In that one.
He killed himself,
He did.
yeah.
They find out later on, but we will get into that.
He made a decision to die. You're making the decision for this baby to die. Possibly.
Well, no, because the baby would have never existed.
That's the point.
So it's not really dying.
It is dying.
If you're changing the past, it would have never existed,
You're
and you would never know
going
that it
into
was
that
there.
decision knowing
That's
that
a never
baby
baby.
will not be born. Don't. I said this to Fran the other day. So, this is going to be about. I'm sorry, Fran. We can
Get
cut
ready
it out.
to just
we
in
can cut it
case we
out.
can cut it.
It's fine. So me and Fran were doing the naughties, and whenever I finish my
Cup of tea.
cup of tea,
Morning, Mr. Smith.
Morning, Mr. Smith.
Whenever I get to the morning, Mr. Smith part, and the never babies come out, as Fran calls them, it's a very common saying in the UK. They're never babies. This particular occasion, she was waddling to the bathroom. Was like, I need to go to the bathroom. We need to get rid of the never babies. She never not says it, and it's never not funny. On this particular occasion, it wasn't the front that got finished in.
Okay, that's...
It was the back
Right,
end.
we can take this out. And I wish you'd have said that earlier in that.
But
Summoning
thing-
boys always support safe sex.
always,
Front or back,
always.
top or bottom.
As I'm
Either
walking
way.
down the stairs, she says this, and I go, if they're in there, they're not never babies, they're lost boys. She laughed and a bit fell out.
A bit. If anybody's seen hentai,
To our regular show.
Now for your regular broadcast.
now for the bit that you never heard because
That
it's
was
been
funny.
cut from
That
the
was
entire.
yeah. We're just going to leave a massive gap and then we're going to jump straight in and everyone's going to be like, what did we miss?
No, I want you to bleep it. Like
That's
bleeps.
really, yeah. And then beep, and then, and I said beep.
And then a bit fell out.
Yeah. Like I want beeps.
Okay.
All the way through it.
Okay, so
Beep, 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 beep. Never
Yeah.
babies. Beep, beep, beep.
So we jump into episode 2. Episode 2 opens with Naho. She's reading the letter. She sees that she wrote the sentence about 10 years from now, Kakaru is no longer with us. She doesn't choose to read on. She just reads the sentence, 10 years from now, Kakaru isn't with us.
She doesn't like spoilers.
Spoilers.
It's technically spoilers.
Yeah, I suppose so. Then we get the bit where Naho said about lunch. So she said that she regretted the fact that in the past she promised to make Kakaru lunch because...
I want this lunch, by the way.
Yeah, these lunches look great.
They look great. Until she said mashed potato in the last one. But until then, I was on board.
You don't like mashed potatoes?
It's cold
mashed
mashed
potatoes
potato.
okay, but it's cold and it's not smash.
Yeah.
Well, we don't
Smash
know that.
is superior.
We don't know that the mash didn't get smashed.
So, in the past, she promised...
I know what you were thinking. Smashed, yes. Oh, funny. Oh, he's a funny boy, that one over there.
So, in the past, she promised to make him lunch, but she chickened out. And she tells her past self, don't chicken out this time, make him lunch.
It's a bit weird.
Is it? They
No.
always they call her a mother.
Yeah, she is.
That's kind of
she
like
does
her role.
adopt the mother of the group role.
I noticed you haven't made lunch, so I made you lunch. But the other guys,
No, she offers.
the
She
other
turns around
guys
and
that go to the thing, I'll be like, well, "Where's my lunch? I've been hanging out with you for years, and
Yes,
you've never
but-
looked at me and gone, ooh."
Is it not already obvious that she's kind of into Kakaru? Like, at this point already?
You know me, right?
Well, she's already in love with him, isn't she? Isn't that what the letter
Yes,
said?
yeah.
Yeah.
She falls in love
I
with
thought
him
I
after
fell
the whole
in love with
baseball thing and
baseball.
the yeah.
Pashini, look at me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We've known each other for years.
Yeah.
If somebody came up and gave you lunch, who I'd known for years, and then they hadn't made me lunch, you know I'd be like, "Where's my lunch?
Doesn't mean you're getting lunch.
Where's my lunch?"
You can ask the question, but it doesn't mean you're getting
Yeah,
it.
I'd still ask the question at least.
You don't need lunch.
The very large pot talk to the kettle.
So we jump to Hiroto, and it gets to the bit where he invites Kakaru to come to football practice. He's like, I heard you're a really good footballer. You know, a birdie told me, Naho. And he convinces him to, it's like, do a trial.
Play one game, yeah.
I thought it was
no,
like
it's
a couple of weeks.
like a few weeks, and he's going to try out for a few weeks before he breaks into the team, and if he wants to join.
I thought he had a game and then he was like a provisional basis thing after that one game.
No, no,
then he
no.
joined the team later,
Yeah,
didn't he?
this is like a provisional thing. Join the club provisionally, see if you want to actually join it for real.
Well, first of all, Sua says that he's like, "Come join the team," and he's like, "No, I don't think I want to join the team." And then he's like, "Oh, well, maybe try it on a provisional basis, or
Yeah.
just for a couple of weeks to see if you like it." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to," but gets convinced to in this timeline, because in the other timeline he sort of does it for 2 weeks and then
He does the provisional and then just quits.
yeah.
But he,
Their play that they're supposed to be them showing off is one pass.
it doesn't. I don't need the in depth of how good
I
they
don't,
are.
need,
At
I don't
football.
need the in-depth, but for fuck's sake, if you're going to show it, fucking show it.
I've seen Saturday League.
It was a
One pass is quite a lot.
It
to
was
be
1-2,
fair.
and that was it. It was done.
So not only does he agree to join provisionally, he turns to Naho and he actually asks her, "Can you call me in the mornings to help wake me up for practice? Because I'm not very good at getting up early on my own."
It's 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. I
It
don't
is,
think
and
so, mate.
She agrees to ring him early in the morning to get him up.
5 a.m.
Nope.
At that point, you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not doing that for
Frank
a friend.
gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, makes me an espresso.
What? That's what he means. You're in a relationship. If that's happening,
like a
you're in a
multiple-year
relationship. If
and
somebody's
a mortgage and everything else, yeah. I'm not
If
doing
your
this for a
mate
bird
turned
I
ar-
just met.
Yeah, or
can
your mate.
Fuck off.
your mate turned around and went, "Mate, can you ring me at 5 in the morning every day so I can get up?" You'd be like, "No, fuck you."
Fuck off. Set an alarm, you iPhone using prick.
She?
What?
When you
No.
phone me up in the morning?
I'm not
Jim,
an early man.
we can't get you up in the evening.
That's it. Well,
We can't get him on time.
No. Every time Sheena goes to your house, you're in your fucking underwear.
damn right I am.
Because I'm going to his house.
There we go.
Hello there.
He has that effect
Hello
on
there.
ladies.
And Sheeny.
Also, in the footage of them playing football, Kakaru's in like jeans and a shirt.
Yeah, like rolled up school pants
Everyone else is
and
in
a
full
shirt.
soccer gear, and he's running around in jeans and a t-shirt.
They didn't have a spare kit.
Jeans and a shirt.
Yeah, they didn't
I
have a
know,
spare kit.
but fucking hell.
Come on. They've got a spare pair of shorts.
But we see him.
Yeah, but they're from like that bin that nobody wants to go and get them from. Yeah,
The
you remember
mismatched
those
bin.
ones where you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, I
you
forgot
forgot
my
your PE
stuff,
kit,
and they're
did
like,
you?
oh, good, go and get it from the bin of doom. And it's like, oh no, get something that looks like a crop top for me.
The bin of shame.
Yeah.
And it's a fishnet crop top from the 80s as well.
I tell you what, nobody would want to mark you.
Oh no, a sweaty, hairy belly slapping against.
He looked like, oh god, Shimonita. Looked like the big guy from Shimonita. You remember, yeah, from the bus.
Gorky.
Gorky, that's the one.
So after we get the scene of him playing, he's having fun. We get Hiroto urging him to join the team. He's, after one practice, Hiroto's like, "Look, come on, you are good enough. You don't need to do this. You need to just come and join the team." Again, Naho recognizes that this conversation is just like the letter said it would be. That Hiroto is going to push him into joining the team. I think he gives him like a 9-minute ultimatum to answer, and it's very weird. It's like, I'll give you 9 minutes.
Not 10!
And it's
10's too
silent.
many!
Not 10 seconds, 9 minutes.
And it's silence as well. Of
It
him
is.
just standing there with his hands together going, please join me. It's weird. 9 minutes of silence. They even show it. And it's just like, did nobody go, maybe make up your mind a little bit earlier?
We cut to the end of the day, and Naho's at home, and she's thinking about the whole lunch thing, about making Kakeru lunch. She then goes, no, it's silly, I can't do that. We're not in a relationship or anything like that. It would just be weird if I made him lunch.
Which it is.
Looks back, thinks about the letter and how much she says that she regretted it. And at this point, look, you're not going to go against the letter. You're not.
If I was her parents, though.
Well, Mum is sus. When
I
she
would
runs,
be.
when she runs back down, she starts making the food. The mum's like, "That's a lot of food for one person." Like,
For a £90 girl.
Why is it always £90?
Because that's a small girl. It's under £100. That's a small girl. The average girl, like fit girl, is like £120. Like
I don't know.
cheerleadery type, that's £120, isn't it?
I don't know.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How do you know the weights of different women?
I'm an expert. I stand there just weighing them up and lift.
He knows his pounds of flesh.
Oh, don't put it like that. That ain't right.
I can see the ending.
I can see the ending. Exactly.
So as
He's a
she's making the
murderer.
lunch,
That's why.
she runs off after making the lunch, and the mum turns around to the dad. I like this bit when she's like, "Oh, I think she's having her first crush," and the dad's like, "Oh God." That's literally it. He literally turns and goes, "Oh God." I love that bit so much. That's
And
the
then
only bit of the
carries
gag that we
on-
get at all.
Carries on drinking his beer,
Yeah.
watching telly again.
Why'd you look at me when you say that?
The man with the beer in his hand.
Yeah. The dad with the beer in his hand.
Yup.
The next day, Naho spends the entire day concerned about actually giving Kakeru the lunch, and she keeps chickening out, and then she goes to do it, and he's already left the room and gone and got his own lunch, and she's fucking annoying at this point. It's just like,
Yeah.
give him the fucking lunchbox.
You made the fucking lunch.
I know, but she's nervous and she doesn't want to do it.
Do it.
And as I said, she waits too long at the lunchtime, misses her opportunity, and then it's weird. After
Yeah.
lunch has been and gone and he's eaten, then it's weird to then give him his lunchbox.
I brought you a lunch that you've already eaten. Here's another lunch. Eat more. Exactly.
I'm a feeder.
And then we get the moment at the lockers when Kakeru actually turns to Naho and mentions and is like, "Your bag's a lot larger than it was the other day. Like, is it heavy? Do you need a hand carrying it?" And she panics and snatches the bag back out of his hands, and Kakeru's just like, he's hurt.
Well, yeah.
He's hurt. He's offered to help her and she's reacted poorly to it. And he's almost like, oh God, maybe she doesn't actually like me at all.
He is very brittle, though. Like, he has those swings very quickly.
The man
Yeah.
has issues.
Yeah, exactly.
And he doesn't want to he doesn't want people to hate him, but he also doesn't want to invest himself in other people's lives too much.
And he doesn't want people investing
Well,
in
that's why
his
he laughs all
lives.
the time. Because if he laughs, so people think he's fucking happy, so they'll leave him alone. They ignore it.
This is it, yeah, to fit in.
Because it's always him starting the laughing fit. Have you noticed that? Whenever the whole group laughs, he's the one that laughs first and
Yeah,
starts it.
starts it. Defense mechanism.
Yeah.
So we get to the bit where they're finally, Naho and Kakeru are sitting down together, and Kakeru talks about the fact that he's absolutely starving. I mean, the guy knows that she's got a lunchbox in there for him, right?
You've got a lunch for me.
He's already commented about the bag being heavy. So.
That looks like a mighty heavy bag there. You've got a lunch for me. Give it here.
And there's another t-shirt. You've got a lunch for me.
That bag's mighty heavy. Is anyone else sweating right now?
Crying. You've got
Right.
a lunch for me.
That's a mighty heavy bag.
This is a very, very, like, dour episode, but
Right.
God.
So,
That's what I'd be like. If I was that guy, I'd be like, you got a lunch. Give it here.
I'm absolutely starving.
Feed me.
Why, when you say it, do you sound like a character from the Mighty Boosh?
Oh,
Hello, Dave. You got lunch.
right.
Actually, I thought more of team. I thought more of lunch for me.
So,
Carry on.
Naho decides to ask Kakaru about the missing 2 weeks. She turns around to him and she's like, what happened in your 2 weeks off? And
I didn't get any food.
I didn't get lunch. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
I'm sorry, Jeannie.
Ha 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 ha.
I'll be
Feed me.
I'll be quiet now.
Kakaru doesn't answer her
Because he's
for
hungry.
for a little because he's hungry for a while. And then he does. He turns to her and he says, "The reason I wasn't in school for 2 weeks is actually my mum died." And then he divulges a bit more into that, and he's like, "She committed suicide on my first day in school. The day that I came and hung out with you guys was the day that
She went out and hung out.
Actually, I don't think we get.
But Dad, there's no.
There's no description on what she
No.
did. All we know is that she committed suicide.
Because he was supposed to go with her to the hospital. I think they say that, don't they?
Well, he talks about the fact that he's also a bit down about the fact that he did promise his mum that he wouldn't join a club, and he's already gone against her wishes and done that. And to Naho, this makes the letter sort of make sense. The fact, I mean, if she'd have read ahead, she'd already know this.
2 pages. That's all she needed
Yeah.
to do. Read ahead 2 pages. Maybe like read the next day of what's going to happen and the day after,
Yeah.
and that's it. You're
And
fine.
Just as he's about to leave, Naho decides to pluck up the courage, and she's like, "I made you lunch." And Kakaru turns to her and he's like, "I was literally hoping all day that you were going to tell me that you had the lunch."
I've been fucking starving, woman.
He's like, literally, I've been waiting all day. And he's super happy about it. That he's got a second lunch.
He's a fucking hobbit now.
What about second breakfast?
And Naho sees that he's super happy and is like, I'm going to make sure that I make you lunch every day, and I'm going to make sure that I give you that wake-up call for football practice every day because it makes you happy. She just wants to make him happy.
Luncheon? Teasies? Sorry. That's Lord of the Rings for me.
And Naho promises to Kakaru that she will always keep him smiling forever because that's all she wants.
It's a heavy promise to make.
It
When
is
you've
a
only
heavy-
known that person for 2 days.
That is a heavy promise. That is a heavy promise. And we jump to the future.
I will look after you forever.
I'll make you happy forever. Great. You're not. It's unrealistic. You've known
It
for
is
2
unrealistic.
days. You don't know what the fuck they do. What makes them happy? They could be serial. I love pulling nails out of people.
I mean, that happens in Kakaguru.
What?
Happens in Kakaguru.
What? Yeah. Oh yeah, it does there.
Yeah,
You're right.
see?
It's a crazy. Yeah, the crazy woman.
Like the first thing they say to each other, I like pulling out people's nails.
I guess it's more along the lines of you can see, well, she can see that.
The end.
Well, no, something.
I can see the end.
something.
It doesn't go
something-
well.
She can obviously see something's not right with him, and
Is it the fact that she's got a letter saying that something's not right with him?
yeah, pretty much, and yeah. So now she's decided to follow the letter as much as she can.
I mean, fair enough, right? If you had that chance, yeah, you bloomin' take it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
If you were given that chance with a letter where it was like, yeah, if you don't do this,
you're
by
not
the
giving
way,
a toss about your future self. If you can, you're only worried about the here and now. If that letter affects your here and now, makes your here and now better, you're going to follow it.
reminds
Although
me-
I would rather the lottery numbers were in that letter.
Yeah.
But so we jump to the future again, and we see that everybody's together. And Naho and Hiruto, they have a baby. They've got together, and they say that they're going to go and see Kakeru. And again, it's still leaving it open. Because all they said is that Kakeru isn't with them 10 years in the future, and then they're like, we're now going to see him. So you're still not sure what the hell's going on. Then they say about the fact that at 17 years old, Kakeru died in an accident. And this is what they specifically say. They're like, it was an accident. He was hit by a truck on his bike. But the letter also says that they regret that happened. It's odd that the letter doesn't sort of instantly address the fact that it wasn't an accident.
you really should.
Yeah, because the letter does say that Kakeru died in an accident and that they regret that it happened. And then later on it says, oh, actually, we found out it wasn't an accident. Surely it would address that straight away.
Yeah, otherwise, why are you doing everything every single day rather than just stopping that one incident?
This is it. The letter is literally step by step taking them through
How to make
their
them happy.
days. Yeah, their days. But
And
it's
they're
highlighting those
all to be
incidents.
hit by a truck. What's
It's
the point
just-
in the
it's just
step by
odd.
step? You just stop. Don't lay him out on this road at this time on this day.
The idea of the step by step is to fill him with
Happiness.
happiness, memories,
Yes, but
friendship.
if it was just a truck, you don't need to do that.
Oh no! If it was an accident, if you knew,
Which
for
is
a
what
fact,
the letter has said so
yeah,
far.
yeah,
That was
instantly.
so
if-
matter of fact.
but no, it is.
If it was just a truck, then you wouldn't have to worry about the rest of it.
No, he's saying if it was just an accident,
Like the
you
letter
stop
said
the
it
accident.
did
Yeah.
in episode
Yeah,
It's that
yeah.
simple.
I get
but,
what you mean.
But obviously, it's more complex than that, and that's how the episode ends. And we go into episode 3. In episode 3, it opens with the letter that Naho's reading, sort of talking about the fact that Kakeru quit the football team, and it says you need to force him to actually join the club. Don't let him quit. He loves playing football. Don't let him throw that away. You see a determination from Naho for once, where she's like, I am definitely going to make sure that I follow the letter and I make this happen.
Yeah, because she's so timid throughout the entire start of this.
However, just as she gets determined about doing it, Kakeru turns around and says that he's joined the football team and she's not had to do anything. This is the first sort of hint that the future's already changing slightly.
Yeah.
He's already decided on his own fruition to join the team. But if you think about this, she's already instantly changed it just by the fact that he's had that conversation with her about his mum dying. Because later on, we see that he never once tells anybody.
Tells anyone, yeah.
So he's already told her about it, which has relieved a tiny bit of pressure off of him.
Yeah, he's already opened up further than he does any other time during the
It'd
letter.
open up the valve, wouldn't it?
The what?
The valve. You'd release a little bit of pent up.
This is it. He's got somebody who knows a little bit of something. And I guess that has led to him joining the football team now. Small wins, I guess.
And it is small wins.
It is small wins. And we also see that there's a girl that is following Kakeru around and keeps sort of stopping in the doorway and poking her head in and saying hello to him in the morning.
She's creepy.
Fucking hated this.
She's creepy. She's
You're
like
supposed
so
to hate
creepy.
Yeah.
This girl, the way she operates is
What,
weird.
Regina George? Yeah, fucking hated her.
She is weird.
We get a lot of slice of life again. It throws a lot of this in, and we get just sort of day-to-day stuff in the school happening, and you see Ueda pop up from time to time.
More and more.
And the letter tells Naho that Ueda confesses her love to Kakeru under the tree in the courtyard when he goes off to get a drink, I think.
Yeah.
Gets everyone snacks and stuff.
Yeah, and she
She wants
confesses
to know.
there.
She's
And it also mentions that Kakeru starts to date Ueda from that day that she confesses to him.
And they don't see each other that much afterwards, do they? I think that's what it says.
Yeah,
in
that
there,
does say that sort of when he starts dating Ueda, Naho and him start to drift apart.
I thought it was her of the full group and him.
But
I thought it was the full group.
yeah, because
I
obviously
think they go hand in hand.
he's got less time to spend with them. So it does come hand in hand. Yeah, but also it's not like he's spending individual time with Naho. The only time that he spends with Naho is
The walk home.
a walk home. Yeah, you can see straight away that Naho's not happy about this Ueda thing, and she is very certain that she doesn't want this to happen. That she wants to change the future. To change it, wouldn't it just be that she should confess first? Wouldn't that have been simpler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have cut a lot of corners and saved a lot of time.
But she's a coward.
She is a coward, and she's not fully aware of her feelings, I guess.
She knows what she
not?
wants.
She literally said, "This is the day I fell in love with him."
First day.
Yeah, true.
So she's aware of that.
But maybe she's scared of his feelings, and she's not sure if he...
That's probably the answer.
Yeah, so she's not sure if he actually likes her fully yet.
There's only one way to find out.
Well, it's almost certain anyway, because Kakeru turns around to her not long after this, and he says to her, "Is there anybody that you like?" As if, it's not obvious enough. And she answers no. And she asks him the same question, and he answers no. And then she asks about Wada. And she's like, well, what about Wada? She's always about, and you seem to hang around with her from time to time. And he's like, yeah, she's pretty. She's just a pretty face. And that's it. And then Naho gets that whole thing like, maybe plastic surgery. She actually says that. She actually turns around and goes, well, maybe plastic surgery will make me prettier. Really weird. Very weird. I guess a teenage thought. Oh, yeah, it is a bit obsessive, isn't it?
Obsessive.
Well, she's already making him lunch.
and ringing him at 5 in the morning to get
5
him up.
a.m. It is very weird. And when I said it was very weird, you both looked at me weirdly. But it's weird.
Then we get
the lunch is fine. They're 5 a.m. phone calls, and the plastic surgery is a little bit over the line. Just set your own fucking alarm.
Yeah, set your own
Dickhead.
alarm. But they're not aware of his situation at home, I guess, and his grandma's not
What, he doesn't
capable
have
of
a
waking
phone
him up at
charger?
5 Well, I don't know. Some people's alarms don't work, do they?
Fuck off, is the grandma not up at 5 a.m.?
Yeah. Grandma's at 5 a.m.
I'm not having that. I'm calling that bullshit out.
Why are these school clubs happening before fucking school starts?
I'm like 5
No,
a.m.
I get before school starts, but 5 a.m.
To be fair, my school football team, we used to train before school and after school.
Yeah,
Yeah, but what time?
7 o'clock? 7:30?
Yeah, about that, yeah. Just only about an hour before school
Yeah.
starts.
And then you shower and then go to class.
Yeah, you would, yeah. So, we get to the moment where Kakeru goes to fetch the group drinks, and in the letter, this was the moment where Ueda confesses and he starts dating her. She does confess, but he doesn't answer her. Now, it's weird, because the letter says that she confesses when he goes to get drinks, but then the letter also mentions about the whole rubber incident.
What?
Excuse me?
Eraser?
Clarification required on that.
They've only
one,
just
too.
met.
But he doesn't answer. And we see that Naho is very bothered by Wada. She's clearly jealous. And then we get the whole thing about the eraser. And the letter says, after you've lent him the eraser, when you get it back, there is a letter in there, or a note in there. Make sure that you answer it and you get the answer to him straight away. She takes off the cover of the eraser. There's a letter. It's literally a message from Kakeru saying, should I date Ueda? And you don't see what Naho puts. All you see is her race off. And she goes and puts the letter in his locker instead of just fucking handing it to him or saying it to his face.
Yeah.
She goes and
Again,
puts
a
it in
little
his
weird.
locker. She comes back upstairs and everyone's looking out the window. And now, this moment, yeah, obviously later on we find out that the friends all got letters. Why did they allow this to happen? Every single one of them.
I think only 2 of them mention this.
2 of them
bit,
say
though.
that they still didn't believe the letters at this point. I get that, but every single one of them, including Hiroto.
But I thought that 2 of them said that they didn't have this mentioned in there.
No, they say that it was in there, but they didn't believe it at the time.
Maybe.
I just find it a bit odd that not a single one of them decided that they might stop
Plot.
it. Yeah, I guess it's plot. It's just,
I think it's something, as an average view, you would overlook that
yeah,
little kind of niggle.
yeah, I
'Cause
suppose
it's only
so.
a little niggle.
Anyway, Ueda is happy because Kakeru said yes, and he starts dating Ueda. And we see that Naho's sad about this, and we also see that Hiroto has noticed that she's sad about this.
She stops making him lunches.
Well, he goes to the locker and he gets the note out of the locker. And we see him standing there reading it, and it clearly writes, like,
No.
should I date Wada? And there's a big fat no on it from Naho. And now we get a depressed Naho because he's dating Wada.
And he doesn't really want to date her either.
He
Well,
just...
he says it later on.
says he went
never
for
date
looks.
Never date a pretty face.
Yeah, that's what he says. And we also get that little nice moment when Aho, depressed at home, is drinking the orange juice, and that he bought her, and she's like,
no, I don't know what you drink when you're depressed.
It's orange juice. And she says it's sweet, it's sour, and it tastes really sad.
Eating sweet and sour chicken on your own, isn't it? It's
Over
a bit
the
sweet. Yeah. No, on the toilet.
What is that? What you do on your hour visits to the toilet? Taking sweet and sour.
It's
got me
sweet, it's sour, and it's really sad.
It's really sad.
What you got for me, Natasha? Oh, she brought me lunch.
We jump back to the future again at this point, and we see the group around the time capsule again. And we find out that every single one of them put a note in there to their future self. And they're going through it, and Hagata, he put in there that he, in the future, he wants to be a doctor and things like that. And they're all going through it. And then they're like, Kakaru's note's in here. Shall we read it? And they decide to read it. He didn't write a note to himself. He wrote a note to everyone else in the group. And this is when the realization sort of hits home to everybody that is the reason he didn't write to himself, because he knew he wasn't going to be around in 10 years' time. And the penny kind of drops for them all, and they all start sort of crying. For us, it's the first sign that, oh shit, this wasn't an accident.
How old is the grandma at this point? It's been 10 more years.
10 years older. She does look the same.
She does.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll give you that.
Eventually, grandmas just get to the grandma look. They don't age after that.
I just thought
They
everything...
just get smaller.
They just
They do. They like
Shrink.
miniaturize. It's when they wash. That's why. Slowly shrink in the wash.
And the group, they finally realise that the accident that they thought happened 10 years ago wasn't an accident, or may not have been an accident at all. And then we see them all heading off to Kakaru's house, and they talk about reuniting with Kakaru at his house and things like that. And you're like, knowing obviously Japanese films and things like that, there's going to be a shrine at the house, and that's really what they go into. And they start talking about the fact that none of them knew that there was anything wrong with him, which is a real oversight. For a friend, that's an oversight.
But it's easily done. Bringing it down a bit.
And it's shown though by episode 11 sort of shows this, where you see Kakaru puts on such a facade that none of them really know what's going on with him, because he plays it off.
It's easily done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's easily done.
And he plays it off so well. But that's what hurt them.
Yeah.
It's the fact that
The lack of trust.
no matter how well he hid it,
I don't even think it's lack of trust. I think it's the lack of
It's not their fault.
knowledge.
But as a friend, you think it's your fault.
You feel bad for not being able to do anything.
You're like, how could I not have known?
Yeah.
Even though there was no way you could have known, you're like, I should have known. And that's what they're all going through. They're all going through that realization that I should have known what was wrong, and now you're starting to blame yourself when actually there really wasn't anything you could have done. And they talk about, next time we will save you. That's what they say. They say, we will save him. And Naho says, I will save him. I swear I will. And that's how the episode ends. And we go into episode 4. Episode 4, we see that Kakaru talks about the fact he has moved in with his grandmother ever since, obviously, his mum died. It's actually the future, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they talk about the fact that Kakaru moved in with his grandmother. Obviously, they never went to his house the whole time they were friends while he was alive. They never went to his house, never realised that he wasn't living at home. And we see them all turn up at his grandmother's house, and they go for a visit. And the grandmother sort of talks to him and is like, I'm really glad that you've all come. Kakaru always used to talk about you all the time, especially you, Naho. He'd talk about you literally all the time. That would hurt. As Naho, that would hurt even more. I wouldn't want to know that, to be honest.
No.
That's a real kick in the teeth.
Because they barely talked at all.
Naho
Really?
didn't know what was wrong with him yet.
Yeah.
And didn't know how he felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He talked about her all the time.
All the time. And she talks about the fact that she wishes she had the courage to tell him how she felt. And it's another one of her massive regrets, is the fact that she never, ever expressed how she felt.
She is filled with regrets throughout this entire thing.
And that's kind of sad on Hiroto as well. The fact that... And he knows it, though, doesn't he? He knows that he was almost second fiddle.
I feel really bad for Sua.
Very close.
He was second fiddle to
I feel sorry
the
for
relationship
that
between
guy.
Kakaru and Naho. But
But he knows it and accepts
But he's
that.
strong. Yeah, he
He absolutely
is strong
knows
and
that
he
he
owns
was.
it.
Because there's a few scenes where you see him make a decision to step back.
He is the nicest guy.
Very much so.
He is the best character.
Yeah.
I'll say that now. Hiroto is the best character in this entire thing.
He's probably the most complex and well-written.
He handles it so fucking well the entire time. Everything he does and the moves he makes and the thoughts he has are all played out perfectly for his character.
He is the only one, I think, looking at it, that makes a serious sacrifice.
He makes the biggest sacrifice.
He makes the biggest sacrifice.
Yeah.
He
That's what I
throws
mean.
away a future that he dreamed of.
And he knows of.
Yeah, and he knows would actually come true. And he throws that away for a friend.
Because both of them would be happier. She's only with him because the first option is dead.
Yeah. Rather than live in a future where, yeah, you might be together, but there's so much regret hanging over it.
But she was happy in that future.
no,
Yeah.
She looks very happy.
And
You
she
can
even
s-
says she's happy.
You can still be happy, but you
Would
can
you-
still have that pain as well. And that's what she has. And I think he ultimately realizes that he could give her a life without that regret and pain, but he has to sacrifice his own future for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we're getting very complex into him.
Quite deep.
Yeah, very deep. So it jumps back again to the past, and we see that everybody's gone out for the day, but Kakeru's not with them. And they mention that Kakeru is out on a date with Ueda at the minute, and so that's why he can't spend time with them and hang out with them.
I'm surprised she's not blonde.
And
I was really
Yeah.
surprised.
What, Regina George?
Yeah.
and Naho is very unfocused on this day out. She's not there, really, is she? She's all she can think about is the fact that Kakeru's out on a date with Ueda. And we also see that Naho has decided to completely stop with the 5 a.m. wake-up calls for Kakeru. And he asks her why. He's like, you didn't ring me this morning. I was a bit late for practice. What's going on? Why didn't you ring me? And she's like, that's not my responsibility anymore. You have a girlfriend now.
That's not my job.
That's not my job,
That's not my job.
You've got a girlfriend. And then he's like, well, what about the lunches you made? And she's like, that's not my job either. You have a girlfriend. I thought she'd made them for you now. It's a little bit bitter from Naho, but it's also completely
To
understandable.
be fair.
It's understandable, right?
Yeah.
It is bitter, but understandable.
Like, what lad is not fucking assuming that this bird is waking him up at 5 o'clock and making his lunch because she might be a little interested?
But where's my lunch?
I mean, it's bang out
It's
of order.
like, dude, where's my car? Dude, where's my lunch?
It's bang out of order for him
makes
to
you
expect that she's going to keep doing that while he has,
Yeah.
the best
Bang
of
out of
both
order.
words. Yeah, it is bang out of order. And does he understand? He understands it, right? He's just
I mean,
like,
it can't be that naive.
yeah.
It can't be like,
At that point,
excuse me.
if he still expects her at that point, that's just taking advantage of her.
Yeah.
I think he's an asshole on that, though.
He
Like-
has a few points where you're like, ooh, rein your neck in, mate.
I think
For
he
fuck's
is,
sake.
though. Like, she makes his lunch,
Some
wakes him
things
up
that
at
he
5
does,
a.m.
yeah, some things
It's
he
like-
does are inexcusable,
Yeah.
even for his situation that
Yeah.
he's in. Definitely. We also see that nobody likes Ueda as well. The whole group comment on the fact that they hate
Shock,
her.
horror. The school bully? Yeah, I'm surprised.
But nobody knows she's the school bully until what happens with...
No, everyone just thinks she's the really popular, attractive girl.
You're hating her too. They go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
What, the super popular?
Yeah.
And a super popular girl that's pretty is
Happened
always
again in
my high school.
what was the film we watched where the popular guy
Perry?
and the girl were dating? I Want to Eat Your Pancreas.
Yeah.
Popular guy who turned out to be the obsessive stalker.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it happened. He also was blonde, but it happens.
Shock horror. Maybe she dyed her hair red. Was blonde.
And she talks to
Saucy
Kakeru about
idea.
going like clubbing and stuff as well when they're walking off. She's like, "Oh, I know a guy who can get us into a club," and she's like, "Yeah, she's a twat, right?"
She's a dickhead.
Yeah,
And he's like, no, I don't want to go to a club.
Who boot new?
No.
Naho sees in the letter as well that because of all this going on, this is when she really just stops talking to Kakeru altogether. She shuts him out completely. Even though he does still try and make an effort in talking to her, she kind of spends her time running away. Runs away a lot, by the way.
Oh, no.
I hate that. I hate the whole later on, like, give him the chocolates and run. Like, I hate the whole run. What?
2 t-shirts, 1 show. Just give him the chocolates and run.
Where's my lunch?
That's a mighty big bag.
It's a mighty big bag.
And as we said, we see that Kakaru just decides to stop hanging out with the group all the time now because he's got away at her.
Oh, but that always happens. Oh, he's got a new girl. Leaves them for ages. Then comes back later.
Yeah.
Also, the group have seen that something's up with Naho, and they know that she's not right, and that, she's upset. Which you would notice. I mean, she does make it blatantly fucking obvious.
I mean, she's not exactly a blooming conundrum, is she? You can literally see it on her face 90% of the time, what's going on in her head.
And the letter sort of states the obvious of, how about instead of avoiding him, you actually talk to him?
No.
But Naho is like, no, I'd rather run away all the time. She even says, like, I don't care what the letter says, it's impossible, because Ueda's there, and I can't do that in front of her. And
that would have been funnier if she had.
Yeah, it would have been funnier if she had.
Just walked up and was like, I'm in love with you.
And she also
said that straight to her.
The letter mentions that one time where Kakaru goes to call out to her and she ran off, and this time she should hear him out. And it gets to that moment, Kakaru calls out to her, she goes to hear him out, and Ueda's there in the background, and she runs off. I told you, it pisses me off. The whole running off thing. What?
It was creepy that she popped out.
Oh, Ueda just appears behind him all the time.
Hello.
It's Homer Simpson coming out the bush.
Yeah, it literally felt like that. Yeah.
And then the letter mentions that there's a moment when Kakaru says goodbye to her, and it leads to him having a massive argument with Ueda. And it also says, I didn't realise at that moment that he was deeply troubled. And that was a moment that she really needed to talk to him.
Because he is reaching out to her. And she is sort of just pushing him away at this point.
And this is when she actually goes to answer him, and Ueda barges her over. And it's like, I didn't see you there.
No comment on that. That's just pointless. Like,
Grade A bullying, isn't it? That's
Yep.
all it is. Kakaru gets angry with Ueda for knocking over Naho. But Naho thinks it's her fault, and now she's caused a problem between Ueda and
runs
Kakaru.
away.
And she runs off.
Tell you what, she's good at that.
But she
escape and
runs
evasion.
she-
Straight out.
She runs into Hiroto, who seems to be standing at the exact spot he needs to be at. And he stops her, and he tells her, stop running away. Talk to him. This, for me, was a bit of a sign that he might know more than he was letting on as well.
Because
I
he's
think he did.
MVP.
I think he did.
This was for me. I was
Man of
like,
the match right here.
he's in the right time there, and he's telling her now not to run away, which is what her letter told her not to do. That's a bit weird. Even I was a bit like, something's not right now with Hiroto, and the fact that he's very observant as well.
I just thought he was trying to help her.
Well, he does that a few times, doesn't he? Because you see him later on hiding, listening to.
He's always
their
around the corner, isn't he?
conversation,
Yeah, making sure that things are going the right
Well,
way.
yeah, he's making a sacrifice. It's got to go right, otherwise he's making a sacrifice for nothing.
Yeah. He tells her that she needs to talk to Kakaru. That the reason that Kakaru is so sad at the minute is because he's not been able to talk to Naho at all. And that every time he tries to, she runs away from him. This gives her he tells her what she needs to hear, and she decides to turn and run back to Kakaru. She's got a lot of running.
Olympic
Four
level.
bases, though, could she?
Olympic level.
And we also see, just after Hiroto's spoken to her, the other two girls were standing at the top of the stairs, and they were listening in. And they sort of corner him and are like, is there something you're not telling us? Also another hint that everyone's got a letter. Is it a bit noticeable at this point?
Not for me.
No?
I don't think it's too obvious.
No.
I think it's, on reflection, you kind of go, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so on reflection. Was it a bomb drop for you that they all had
Yeah.
letters then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
of.
yeah. But then you kind of look back and you go, oh, wait, no, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
They were like hints, but they weren't. They were well
They were
played.
not visible
They were well played.
unless you were looking for them, and I wasn't looking for them.
So Naho catches up with Kakaru, and they have a conversation, and Kakaru tells her that he wants to break up with Ueda. He doesn't like being with her. As we said, he said, I shouldn't have gone with a pretty face. Comes with a bad personality most of the time.
Well, what? That's from Sheenie's mouth, not from the other summoning boys here.
Naho asks Kakeru if it's her fault that he wants to break up with Ueda, and Kakeru actually turns around and he's like, well, you did say no in the note, so... But it's not your fault fully, but, you did say no. And he says that he missed Naho. And then he says...
I missed your lunches.
I missed your 5 a.m.
wake-ups.
And he also says that, besides, I like someone way more than Ueda anyway. And Naho's like, are you in love? And he's like, that's a secret, and runs off. And Naho sits there and is like, I wonder who it is that he loves.
The person that he's breaking up because she said no.
Maybe the person that fed him.
I mean, to be fair.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
3 lads sat around this table. If I'm getting fed...
And 5 o'clock wake up.
5 o'clock wake up depends on what type of wake up calls, but 5 o'clock wake up calls, I'm going to make some assumptions.
To be fair, I had a 5 o'clock wake up call this morning.
Yeah?
Not
Go on.
fucking pleasant.
Was it Frankie?
No, it was just fucking Tash getting up for fucking work.
And now we go into episode 5. Episode 5 opens with the letter again, and the letter talks about May 24th, and the letter mentions about the fact that Kakeru turns up and he's soaking wet from the rain, and Naho wishes in the letter that these are the small moments, because Naho mentions the fact that she wished she brought a towel to school so that he could dry himself down, and then magically she's got a towel with her the day that he turns up and he's soaking wet.
Should always remember to bring a towel.
It's just... Is this not weird?
Yes.
That she just happens to have a towel
Yes.
ready at that moment?
I mean, to be fair, it'd be weird if you went to school and somebody there had a towel, wouldn't it?
But it depends if it's PE.
Yeah, he's got a point.
Did you not shower at school after PE?
You win this round.
That was a no.
That was a no.
Are you fucking joking me? You went to my school.
I did. No, you went to my
There is
school. I'm older than
no
you.
fucking chance that I'm going into those showers and washing in there.
Why not?
Yoo-hoo! Group hug in the showers.
Not only
Big
the
Mama
people,
Blowout.
not even the people that I had in there, but also the PE teachers that I had. We are not.
Right, who did you have for PE though?
Mr. Bird.
I had Mr. Bird.
There was a
Were you
window.
worried about
There was a
showering while
window
Mr.
in
Bird
the
was
showers
around?
area.
There's a window.
There was.
You could only see a little bit.
The expectation wasn't for you to climb out naked.
Well, it never happened anyway, Sheeny, so that's all right.
You can shower with the towel wrapped around you.
What?
There was a trick to it. You can shower while completely covered. On
See,
your case of
even
flannel.
Sheeny is like
Do you
doing
have
the
two
whole.
towels?
No, you just
One for wet,
you
one for
lean
dry?
in. You keep your ass out and you lean in.
What?
Well, when do you wash your ass? Oh,
That's
what,
just
with
a
the towel
bum
on your
wash,
head
then.
while you back it up.
That's just a.
What does
Yeah,
that
and
mean?
then
You might as well go in naked.
Right, and then
Imagine doing that in your school.
no, you wrap
People
the
think
towel
you're right
around.
fucking weirdo. He's presenting himself again.
You wrap the
He's
towel
doing
around your
Beyonce's
waist.
blooming.
It's easy.
Yeah.
You wrap the towel around your waist and you lean over and put your head under.
What?
And you wash your upper body. And then you put your towel over your head because if you can't see them, they can't see you.
Okay.
What?
I knew he was going to say that, but I know it still doesn't work. Anyway, yeah.
What?
There's a lot of bum washing going on in this. Wash your bum too.
Yeah, you got to make sure your mate's bums are
The
clean.
summoning boys are always for good hygiene.
Wash your bum.
I'm just glad no one knows. I said wash your mate's bums.
No, we noticed.
How else are you going to get to those hard to reach areas?
You're Mr. Sheen.
He's good at polishing.
So we go.
Loves the jobs you hate.
No, that's Mr. Muscle.
Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Ew.
Everyone in the group decides that they're going to walk home together until they don't. So they
They're
literally,
going to do it until they don't, though.
they're all like, oh, let's all walk home together, and then they one by one drop out and say they have plans until there's just Naho and Kakeru left to walk home together. It's a ploy by everybody to get them together, which is also again a diversion from the letter, because the letter states that they all walked home together. It's another one of those foresight things where you're like, oh, okay, they've definitely all got letters when you find out, because they all know in the letter that their future selves have said, oh, don't walk home that day.
I mean, that still could be without foresight as well. They could just be like, "Oh no, we'll get
Yeah,
you two
that's what it's
to
supposed to be. You're supposed to
hook up,"
look at
sort
it
of
and
thing.
go, "Oh, everybody's trying to get them
Everybody
together,"
sees
and-
what's going on.
But actually, it's because of the.
Well, I
what
mean,
they're
it is
reading.
still exactly that, but
Yeah.
everybody has that foresight.
This is on the walk home. This is when Naho gets bought that hair clip, and the hair clip comes up quite a few times actually as something of importance to her because Kakeru gets. It is her treasure.
My precious.
And while they're out, we also see that Ueda is knocking about, and her little crew has seen
The plastics.
the plastics, has seen Naho and Kakeru out, and
Mean Girls, mate.
they turn to her and they're like, "Isn't that your ex-boyfriend over there?" And Ueda's still obsessed with Kakeru as well.
It's so weird that she is
She's supposed to be this like uber
popular.
popular,
I can have
attractive
everyone.
girl.
I want the suicidal maniac.
But she wants what she can't have.
Surely that'd be the girls. A teacher.
A teacher.
Is that usually the plot? A teacher?
No, because the teachers would ask
saw Loser,
what
right?
she can't have, right? Because you've seen Japanese anime, right? The teachers
Yeah.
tend to be on board with this idea.
You son of a bitch.
I'm in.
Almost practiced.
We also see that Kakeru is actually. They bring it up that actually he's really intelligent and he actually gets high scores at school, and so he's not an idiot, and he clearly studies. And not that it's relevant at all to the plot of the story. They just decide to tell you that Kakeru is an intelligent guy.
Because they always are. Like, all main characters are almost always intelligent.
When people that commit suicide.
No.
Depressed people are always very
No,
smart.
just main characters.
Then we get the bit that tries to throw in the valuable bit of information. They're in the class, and this is when the teacher starts talking about time machines, and then he mentions black holes. And he says that some say that black holes, if you were to fall into a black hole, it may take you out of time.
It would crush you.
It might do.
It would crush you.
No,
It
don't
does
know
it.
that.
And it might put you into a parallel world.
It'd crush you.
And if you were to go into a parallel world, it would be completely different, and you might, it could put you into your past and you could change it. And it's their way of having a small intro into the fact that you can change.
It's just a nudge. Say,
But it doesn't create a new present for you then, if this makes sense. If you were to go back and change anything, it creates a whole new world in the future.
Yeah, that's the
But
multiverse.
that is the multiverse. It doesn't affect the timeline you're currently on. If you're to leave that timeline, you're on a new timeline.
Bit of a side note.
We all know that's impossible, right? You can't just step into another.
You can't go inside a black hole, but I think actually they have almost proved that you can go forward in time.
Yeah, you can't go back.
You can't go back, but you can go forward. So if you go on the edge, on the perineum of a black hole, and you go against the time of a black hole, time and space around the black hole moves slower than outside of that area. So literally, if you could go at light speed around the black hole and not get sucked in, everywhere else around that is moving faster. So literally, time moves faster outside of it, and you don't age as quickly.
But you'd have to resist the pull of the black hole.
That's the whole thing that they say. Like, it's not easy, but it is technically
Probably the
scientifically
understatement of
doable.
the fucking show, isn't it?
It's not easy.
It's not easy not getting
But with
sucked
a bit
into
of
black
effort and pep
with enough training.
But we'll have a
and a good lunchbox.
I'll have to have a damn good lunch that day, but we'll have a go.
Jim shows and the black hole's like, ooh, you brought me lunch.
You're not wrong.
Because you were snack.
Yeah.
This is then Naho gets the realization that everything she's doing now is not going to affect the future Naho who sent the letter. She realizes that she's changing the world that she's in now, which will cause a deviation from the timeline and create a whole new future for her. You're not going to care about the future Naho at this point, are you not?
Well,
Fuck me.
it depends
Literally,
if you
fuck
buy
me.
into it.
What?
It depends if you buy into it.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. You're not going to know if that's truly what's going to happen. The same as when they send the letters. They're not truly... Obviously, like, there's a 99.9% chance it's not true and nothing's ever going to happen. The
we
letter's going
know.
to float away in the sea.
Yeah, I
and
was
that's
about to
it.
say, we literally know they chuck some letters in an ocean.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
That's literally what
what they
happens.
hint towards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's for all they know, that letter's just going to get wet.
I mean, yeah.
That's it. But on the off chance that it does find your past self, you're not changing anything for yourself, but they don't care about that. But what I'm saying is the Naho of the past, she's not going to care about the Naho of the future, surely? You're like, they've sent the letter to help you, I get that, but they have to have this parallel world theory because otherwise it's a paradox, because I think Hagata says this.
Yeah, well,
'Cause
it
he
would
says
kill the future.
If you send
if
the
you-
letter and change the past, you're not then going to send the letter in the future. So then how can the letter exist in the past? Because
it becomes a paradox.
and it becomes a paradox. So it has to create a new timeline.
Well, you can't go backwards. You can't put matter where it doesn't belong.
That's what
you
they
can't
say.
add
Yeah.
to the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter is a constant. There is
Yeah.
only what there is. You cannot create more.
That's
This is
why
why
you-
time travel does
Yeah.
not work.
That's why you can't go back in
You
time.
can
You
move
can
it
go
forward because then it doesn't ever
Yeah.
disappear. It's just changing the state or it's
And
changing
placement in the
where
universe,
it
yeah.
is.
But this is why they handled
Still
it the way
7
they did. This is why they were like, we can't go down the paradox, but we'll explain it, which is great that they do. So,
Yeah.
And they choose to go down the whole, we have to create a parallel universe. So we jump to the future Naho again. And she talks about the fact that she got a text from Kakaru the day he died. And the text was about, because it happened on Valentine's Day or the day after Valentine's Day. And the text basically says, who did you get your Valentine's chocolate for? Or who did you give it to? And have I angered you in some way? Because I know you're not talking to me. And then it just ends with, thank you, Naho. And that was the last thing she ever got from him. That would suck as well. You know, and the fact she's left it on her phone is kind of... I suppose you wouldn't bring yourself to delete it, would you?
What's this, 10 years later?
Yeah.
Still got that frickin' same phone. It's not happening
True.
these days.
Yeah, these days it wouldn't happen, no.
But yeah, you probably would.
She did reply to him, but she says, which is a trope that they tend to do a lot in the sad animes, it's like, oh, I don't know if he ever received it. We had the same again in I Want to Eat Your Pancreas.
Yeah.
Yep.
That happened as well.
It leaves a cliff. It's an easy cliffhanger.
It's an easy,
to keep.
it's an easy
it's a
tearjerker
bit
for you
too
later
easy.
on,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's
It's a
it's
bit
one of those.
too
It sets
easy.
you up for the. Oh, he did read it. Like, do you know what I mean?
I mean, we all go, oh, he did read it, but I still was like,
I
oh
roll
my
my
god.
I roll my eyes. Let's not buy into that easy of a shitty plot. That was poor.
No, I'm sticking with it.
We jump.
I'm eating that up.
We jump back to the past Naho again, and she's talking to Kakaru, and Kakaru talks about the fact that he would love to go back to the past and to change it, to save his mother, because he thinks that he can just save her. Foresight, isn't it? You know, knowing what he knows now, it would be easy to do so. And he says that it is the biggest regret he ever had, or has, is that he couldn't save her.
So then what she needs to turn around to him and say is, well, if you want to do that, you got to chuck a letter into the ocean.
Yeah.
She didn't know until 10 years later that might be an option.
I mean, she could have then put it in her letter. And
How
then
did they
could have
discover
sent-
this fucking time traveling letter?
It just gets sent to her house.
Yeah,
It's
but
addressed to her house.
But
isn't it?
how?
UPS.
How does it time travel
Through a black hole.
Yeah, for a black hole.
for a black hole on Earth?
Yes,
Yeah.
they talk about the Bermuda Triangle having the same, bearing some sort of similarities to a black hole, and that scientists have found that something could be there.
Grayson, this is not the one to be reading into the science.
Now, when we built the Hadron Collider, they were worried that the black hole was going to be created because it would just swallow the Earth.
That is the point of the Hadron Collider, is to create a black hole.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
Yeah,
not.
it's-
It's to smash two atoms together.
yeah, in the hopes that they might be
Create
able to
energy.
create, in
Create energy.
in the
Doesn't
form
create-
of a black hole.
It's not a black hole.
And to find dark matter as well.
Yeah.
To be fair. A few things. They are looking for some things. They're not just going, hey, guys, I got an idea. How about we smash some atoms together in a really
A
expensive
guy got hit by
ring?
it as well.
What, by an atom?
Yeah,
I would think
genuinely got hit by him.
so. I normally get hit by
He got
them.
fucked up.
Really?
It did not get superpowers. Very disappointing.
He
You
didn't
could be
become
Hadron Man.
Atom Man.
Hadron Collider Man. Currently fused with
That
a
just
Hadron
sounds
What does he
like-
do?
That's
He
a
smashed.
Digimon.
What did he do? He smashes things together really fast. You.
Hadron Collider Man evolves into Mega Hadron Collider Man.
Change into digital champions.
Monsters.
Champions
To change the digital world.
save the digital world.
Worst fucking show.
That's a great show. I don't know what
Fucking
you're on
terrible.
Back to Naho.
Future episode.
Fucking not.
Yeah. It is.
She asks Kakaru about the festival, and she asks him if he'll go with her. And he's like, yeah, let's get the whole group together and we'll go. And she's like, no, actually, I'm just asking you. It'll just be the two of us.
Fucking hell, Grayson. Get some fucking WD-40.
The reason she asked
Do
Kakaru...
it for your dad.
the reason she
You need
asked...
more greasing up than that.
Grease me up.
There we go.
The reason she asked Kakaru about this festival and the fact that they should go together is because her future self tells her, one, to do it, and two, that it's a memory that she mustn't erase because it's one of her happiest memories of her and Kakaru together.
I like this episode.
After she asks him, Kakaru runs to Hiroto and tells Hiroto, look, Naho's asked me out to the festival, just the two of us. Is this okay that I like her because I know that you like her? It kind of catches Hiroto off guard because he's like, what? No, I don't. And he's like, Kakaru's like, look, we're friends. I know that you like her.
We've been friends for like 2 weeks now. I can read you like a book.
No, it's been a while.
It's been like a month or so, 2 months.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, he asks if it's okay, and Hiroto's like, yeah, no, of course it's okay. This is what I want. Sort of says that, but he kind of forces it out at the same time. We also get a bit of flirty banter from Azusa as well with Saku. She talks about like that he looks a lot better without his glasses on or something like that, and then notice that the future him wears contact lenses. I mean, these two like each other, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's blatantly obvious.
But they don't get together. Not in the future. On the first one.
Maybe in the new future they might.
Maybe.
They also mentioned that Hiroto's been asked out to the festival by like multiple girls, and we find out that actually he's really popular with the girls as well. Especially the football club's managers?
Yeah, there's like 3 of them.
Yeah, there's 3 of them that manage the football team.
Yeah, but they manage the football team.
Seems like a tough job.
When they're talking about that, Saku,
Takes 3 of them to do it.
Only 2.
I can only think of In Between Us there. You've seen In Between Us, right?
Of course,
Yeah.
Can one of you help me? She might be a 2-man job.
2-man job.
Anyway, this is when Saku drops Hiroto in it a little bit because everyone's standing there and Saku turns around to Hiroto and goes, doesn't Hiroto fancy Naho? I mean, we all know that, right? And Hiroto gets all embarrassed and runs off, and not cool for a
Culture's
friend.
very different. Very different. You wouldn't get in this country. There would be no embarrassment and running off. It'd be fuck off, mate, and you'd just kind of play it off. By
You would.
swearing
You
them.
just laugh it off, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I would definitely laugh it off.
We see.
In a very much no.
No. Slide under the table.
Slowly melt in place.
Have you met Jim?
Melty man. It's my superpower to disappear when I want to.
we get a bit of an insight into sort of the conflict that's happening in Hiroto. He's clearly conflicted about his feelings.
Yeah, he is.
And we're getting more of it as we go along. As the relationship between Naho and
I thought you were about to say Kirito. I was like, what?
As their relationship develops, Hiroto, you can see the hurt in Hiroto. I think it just becomes more noticeable.
That's because I think he's finding it harder and harder and harder because he realizes every time that he's pushing her closer to him, he's getting further away from that potential
future.
Yeah.
Cut to the festival, and we see. Well, the first thing we see is that there's a metal band playing at the festival. I found that, like a heavy metal band. I was like, that's a bit unique. You don't see that much.
Apparently, it's quite normal though in Japan, isn't it?
Well, metal.
Metal?
Yeah, metal.
Is it?
Apparently, yeah.
Is it?
Apparently,
I know they like the punky.
they got the
pop
indie
thing.
indie sort of scene. That's their sort of stuff.
There's a lot of slice of life stuff that goes on. Naho meets with Kakare, and he's, she wants to show off the fact that she's got the hair clip in her hair. It's all very cutesy slice of life stuff that's going on. Then, when they decide that they're going to meet up by the pool to watch the fireworks together, just the two of them, Ueda gets in the way. And she confronts Naho, mentions about, like, that's a nice hair clip, give it to me.
Under the stairs as well.
Yeah, like, give me the hair clip. And
No.
Who about new?
No, I got this given to me. What are you going to do with it, you weirdo?
Also, I forgot to mention that Naho's letter tells her specifically that she's always to notice the times that Hiroto has been thoughtful to her and been there for her. Sort of it's a friendly nod.
A nod.
It's a friendly nod to their future.
It's like one of those thank yous at the end of a movie or something, the acknowledgements.
It's him that comes to her rescue when Ueda and her little crew get a bit handsy and try and forcefully take the hair clip from her. Hiroto's there, he gets in the way and saves her. And the letter also says that she needs to tell Hiroto thank you more often than she does because it'll make him happy. We see then Hiroto go up to Kakeru and give him plasters and is like, these are for Naho, she got hurt earlier, you know, go and patch her up. Again, he's thinking of them too, and he's putting them ahead of himself. He's the thoughtful one, and yeah.
These two are completely
clueless.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even said clueless. I would have just said that they were incapable of expressing their feelings towards each other without any pushing from other people.
Yeah. And she says, Naho does say thank you to him, and he gets all embarrassed when she does. And it ends with her seeing the letter, and the letter specifically says that Hiroto was the one who saved my heart. I really like that bit. I found that it was appropriate and poetic for the moment it was in. That Hiroto was the one that was there for her when she needed him the most. And we go into episode 6. Episode 6 opens with Kakeru finally asking Naho about... Well, not finally. He kind of playfully asks her, who would you ask out in us group of friends? What fucking...
That's a weird question.
So... in this group
he's like, out of the...
Who would you ask out, Genie?
He's like, out of the 3 guys here, who would you most likely want to go out with?
Jim's actually wanting an answer.
I'm not giving him an answer.
Oh, he's
Jim.
give me an answer. I'm okay with that, strangely enough.
And before she can even answer, Kakare he's asked by Azusa. She's like, actually, out of the 3 girls here, who would you ask out? Kakeru?
I was waiting for him to say Jim.
Nobody answers the question at this point.
Of course, because it's yeah, no.
Yeah, no. And Kakeru runs off to Hiroto again, and again he turns around to Hiroto and he's like, "Is it okay for me to fall in love with Naho? Would you be okay if that was something that?" Because he's conflicted, isn't he? He's like, "I don't even know if I can fall in love," and then he's like, "But would it be okay if I did?" He's asked the question too much here at this point. Like, I don't think he needs to ask anymore. He's already asked once. He doesn't have to ask again.
It's kind of salt in the wounds.
Go for it, dude.
Almost too much now. And if you're Hiroto, I think at that point I'd be a little bit fucked off that he's asked me again.
I think he does in like one of these next episodes.
No, he's not.
He's
not.
like, if you don't, then can I?
Kind of, yeah. In a playful way, he's like, well, if you don't, then I'm going to, so you better fucking get it. It's almost like get in there and hurry up. No, I think it is. I think it is playful. I think it's kind of
the kissy bit. It's like, if you win, I'll give you get
no,
the kiss.
No. It's before
But
that.
if you
He's
lose, I'll
talking
kiss
about the I should I go out with, and then
He's like, well, if you're not going to bloody ask, then I will. And it's kind of like, well, you better fucking get in there now because I'm not hanging around and waiting forever.
He's serious then. He is serious.
But Kakeru talks about the fact that he doesn't want to fall in love because he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He's scared about hurting someone else because he feels like he's already hurt his mother. We cut to Naho and she talks about the fact that she has failed to change a few things in the letter. She's done her best at trying to change what she can, but she's failed to change a few things, including the most important thing right at the start of the letter that would have made the rest of the letter irrelevant, possibly. because we talked about the fact that she may have killed herself anyway, the mother. But obviously the circumstances around that would have completely changed as well. And we see that in the past, when they decided to go and watch the fireworks together, nothing actually happened. They stood just side by side and watched the fireworks. And
she regrets that, though, doesn't she?
She said, keep that memory alive because it's a happy memory. She doesn't actually say that she needs to change anything about it. Although there is only one change that happens, but we'll get to that. Cut to the hottest girl in the school contest. We see that.
That's a strange
What
contest.
is that about?
I've seen this a few times now in different animes where they have the best guy, best girl thing.
Is this like the prom queen?
I think
Yeah,
it is.
a festival
Poorly
king and
done.
festival queen.
Very poorly done. It's basically a bidding contest on who's the hottest.
Well, guess who wins? Wader. Wader wins the best or hottest girl in the school. And poor old Hagata, or Saku, whichever one you want to call him, he comes dead last in the boys section. But he did get one vote, which he's very pissed off at, because Azusa voted for him.
You ruined my perfect zero. I love it. That is something to aspire to. A man that drowns himself in failure instead.
Again, after this, Kakeru goes up to Hiruto and asks him if it's okay that he goes off with Naho to watch the fireworks alone. Third time.
Yes. Fuck off.
Okay if I slap a bitch. Because that's what's fucking gonna happen.
Third time he's asked if it's okay.
Are you sure?
Literally.
Are you sure?
As Nahu is about to make her way to meet Kakeru, because he's gone off early to go to the pool. Why didn't they go together?
Who knows?
I don't get it. Anyway, she goes to go and join him. Ueda gets in the way, her and her gang. And
It is the worst gang.
she's
All
like,
right.
either you do this job of carrying these boxes up to the teacher's office, or you give me your hairpin.
At that point, I'm going, yeah, sure, I'll take those boxes. Dumb.
And leave there.
So we see that she takes the boxes, and as she walks off and takes the boxes, Ueda's friends turn to her and are like, go get him, girl. And Ueda runs off to go look for Kakeru.
It's alright, we'll carry these for
This
you.
girl's demented, right? Like, he's already fucking dumped her.
Yeah.
Like, Ueda on her way to go and meet Kakeru walks past the rest of the guys from Nahu's group, and they overhear her saying about, oh, stupid girl, I gave her the task that the teacher gave me and she took it, and yeah, basically be a bitch. So Nahu's friends help her out. They turn up. We see that the girls turn up to help her carry the boxes, and they're like, why are you even doing this? You know, you need to go and meet Kakeru. He's waiting for you. And it's Hagata, isn't it, that says to Ueda, oh, Kakeru's looking for you.
Yeah, he's
At
over
the
by
football
the...
sheds or
Yeah, he's
something.
over
shed.
at the facility shed or whatever it is, the faculty shed. And she's like, oh, is he? And yeah.
Oh, quick, better run.
And she runs off, and Hiruto's like, well done, Hagata.
Well played. You fooled her with that cunning scheme of telling him he's over there instead of where you know he's going to be. Literally, she knows that he's there, and then he's like, nah, she's not there, or he's not there.
He's looking for... Well, no, she doesn't believe him at first, and then he's like, she's looking for you. And
Or he.
he's looking for you. Nahu turns up at the pool late. They think she's missed the fireworks, and he sees her hairpin, and he's like, oh, you're wearing the hairpin, and it's all very nice. And then she plucks up the courage, and she turns around, and she's like, Kakeru, if I was to ask anyone out, it would be you. And he's like,
Cool.
Nahu, if I was going to ask any of the girls out, it would be you.
Well, then ask me out then.
Nothing happens.
Like, at this point, you've basically both said to each other, yeah, I want to go out with you.
Yeah, but nothing comes of it. But the only
To
thing...
be fair, I've got an ex-girlfriend who I was with for 4 years. Neither of us asked each other out. It was just sort of assumed after a certain amount of time. We were.
It was assumption.
It genuinely was.
And as we all know, assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups.
We still get on. It's great.
So the only thing that actually happens is they hold hands as they watch the fireworks, because they're not actually over. There's the grand finale. And they hold hands, which they didn't do in the past, present, futures
Alternate.
past.
Futures
Alternate.
past.
Futures past.
Days of futures past. They had the X-Men and everything in there.
And we jump to the letter again, and the letter states that Naho needs to make Kakeru happy from now on. And it says that...
Wasn't that in the first page of the letter?
It kind of drops the bomb that...
You're on your own, kid. Just make him happy.
It kind of drops the bomb
I've done all I can.
It turns around and tells her that Kakeru still regrets the fact that he couldn't save his mum. This is something it should have told her ages ago in the letter, not just now. This is when Naho decides that she wants to skip ahead and look for the accident day, or the day that Kakeru passes away. And it says, she gets to the page and it says February 15th is the day that Kakeru dies. And it states that he was hit by a truck.
But then it also states that it wasn't an accident.
Well, it actually says, saving him from this accident won't save him. You need to save his heart.
Cut it out of his chest, put it in a box.
Kalima.
Save it.
And it says that it took them 10 years to realise that this wasn't an accident at all. That Kakeru went out in front of the lorry on purpose and committed suicide. And we jump again back to the future Naho and the group. And they're talking to Kakeru's grandmother. They outright ask her, they say to her, we need to know, was what happened to Kakeru really an accident? And the grandmother, she looks to the sky, doesn't she? And she's like, I think it's time, Kakeru, that we told them. And she gets out it's his suicide note. And in it, he asks the grandmother is to tell everyone that what happened to him was an accident. And that he's doing what he's doing is because he wants to go and see his mum. And he wants to apologise to her in person for what happened. It's a heavy scene, this one. It's the first time that everything sort of gets told to you about the accident and kind of where his head was at the time as well. And that he thought that the best solution was to go and see his mum in person.
I'm not going to lie. I knew that it wasn't an accident a lot earlier than that.
I think we all did.
Yeah. I like by the second, maybe third episode.
You never get a true reflection of his headspace. You get snippets.
No, but even the snippets are enough to go.
Yeah, the clues are all there.
Yeah.
Literally, the signs are all there.
You can stop that by doing one thing.
Yeah.
Not lots of these little things.
And we jump back to the past again, and Naho has read in the letter that at this moment, in the evening of the festival, she needs to ask about his mother. To bring it up, to force the subject to come up. Because it needs to be addressed. Because he's just hiding it. And at the festival, we see they were all supposed to meet up the group, but everyone else has decided to call off at the last minute and leave Kakeru with Naho. Again, it's another moment where Kakeru turns to Naho and is like, mentions about being in love and stuff, but is being coy and won't tell her that it's her that he's in love with. And they're on the bench, and Naho brings up Kakeru's mother. And Kakeru he's really short with her. He's defensive.
Yeah, but you would be. At this point, you would.
Yeah. But Naho turns around and says, do you feel like you should have saved her? Are you regretting not being there?
That's strong.
It is, and Kakeru, this upsets Kakeru, and he cries. And he says that day he promised that he would help his mum because she was going to a new hospital to get help, and this could have been the hospital that saved her, and he was going to be there to help her settle in. And not being there and everything that happened afterwards is his biggest regret. He's not going to have a bigger regret than that. It's just... And he turns to Naho and he's like, I need to be alone at this moment. And I think he only goes and sits on like a separate bench for a little while, doesn't he? Yeah, he literally goes and sits like 2 benches down from
He
her.
does a world that God only knows and sits a couple of benches down.
And fades. But at this moment, the rest of the group turn up and they go over to Naho and they speak to her. And Naho's like, I've upset Kakeru. And she turns and he's gone. He's not at the bench anymore.
He's disappeared.
And he's gone missing altogether. So we find out that he's not been turning up for football practice. He's not turning up for any activities at all. Naho is at home. She's upset. And the episode ends with her. She's about to rush out to go and see Kakeru. And outside her home is Hiruto. And he stands there and he says to her, everything's going to be okay. I know you got one. I know you got a letter because I got one too. And it ends.
What a bombshell.
So we're going to end it on 6 episodes because we've gone on a long while here. And
there was a lot of info.
There is a lot of info.
Pack into like these 6 episodes.
Especially, and it's a nice place to end as well with the whole Hiroto having the letter.
Bombshell
I've got
drop.
one too. So we're 6 episodes in. How did we feel at this point? Were we very optimistic for Kakaru and
No.
him being saved?
I'm
at the
going to be
end?
honest, no. Like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
You-
I wasn't.
I was unsure because animes from
I
past
wasn't sure a
experience.
bit later. At this point,
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to work. They're going to do it.
At this point, you
Yeah.
were still
but
okay.
it got to like maybe 9, and then he was still being a mess. And I was like, oh, but is he?
What, even
But it is.
despite all their efforts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was still going to kick the bucket.
But at this point, you were like, yeah, I think they're going to pull it
Yeah,
through.
just there was a lot of tropes and
Yeah.
stuff.
By this point, they hadn't even dealt with the main problem. Literally, episode 6, the end of episode 6 is the first time
They'd
they even
only,
talk
I was
about
going to say,
the
they'd only
problem.
just asked about his mother and if he was okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's only Naho. At this point, the rest of the group are
Oblivious.
supposedly oblivious, and he hasn't told anyone except Naho. So there's still, he's got a lot to address here.
It was tough to watch some of this because of, like, it was heavy. There was some heavy hitting stuff going on in this.
It was every time you got that look into Kakaru's headspace.
Yeah,
was when
everything else-
things sort of really hit heavily
Yeah.
for you.
Because everything else was really light and bubbly, and
It was.
actually it was just quite normal. And then you got that heavy dose.
I mean,
that
you
heavy
always-
That's what it's
hit,
supposed to be, though, isn't it? It's supposed
Yeah.
to be. This is an everyday thing. People go
Slice
through
of
their
life.
life smiling, having a laugh, and then as soon as they're away from people,
There's a
they
darkness.
can turn a switch off
Yeah.
and become what they actually feel,
And
which is what this
it
is.
was, yeah. And that's what I mean. It was heavy for that. But it had the light tones, it had the light undertones.
Was we all on board with the whole letter from the future and things like that?
No,
No?
I struggled to get into it. I was later on, but the first 6 episodes, maybe a bit more. I'm not invested.
I just took it as is. It's a plot device. I was fine with it.
I was fine,
because I was invested in the story.
As soon as we had the sort of teacher explanation about the parallel worlds and this, that, and the other, I was kind of like, okay, Dave explained this whole letter
There's
thing
this
Great
theory
way to
is
explain
that-
it as well.
yeah, oh yeah, no, fantastic way. How else would you tackle this whole...
Well, it's either going to be the teacher does it, or one of them does it, or a parent does it. And
Yeah.
out of those options, the teacher
It's got to be
is a
teacher
natural
because it
kind
makes
of-
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it's the natural way to do it.
And I guess the only other way you'd have this show would be that you could do it where he's never obviously died, and this is just a friendship group trying to help somebody through. But it's not what they went for, obviously.
Yeah, it's not as heavily hitting. It was.
It would have been even heavier if it had not been.
Yeah.
if he
Yeah.
had not died in the first place.
Yeah.
This was all them trying to save him
Yeah.
from the get go. But I was heavily involved. 6 episodes in, I was on board with will they, won't they save Kakaru.
Yeah, and it is the whole will they, won't they?
You sort of your love for Hiroto doesn't come until later either. I don't think. I think
Yeah.
up to this point, you're just
He's still a
like-
minor character.
He really is. Yeah, he was just somebody you were like, he seems like a nice guy, but he's not just a nice guy. He's
The
the
nice
best guy.
Episode 6 is when he starts coming to his own.
7
7.
after he explains about the letter and
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you finally get that revelation
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
letter and his letter and things like that. That's when you're like, there's more to him.
Yeah.
And he is actually a huge character in this. They're all more important than you give
They're
them
all
credit for.
massively important. There's no more or less.
Yeah.
Like, they are short of the main two, and even then, they share a lot of screen time
Tons.
with the others.
Tons.
A lot.
Yeah, but I think it's supposed to be more of
Yeah, because it's
friendship
a
group.
story about a
This group of
friend
six.
that
Group
support
is, yeah.
one person. That's
Yeah.
the point. It's not her.
This whole thing
it's
is about
all
a group
of
of
them.
6.
with a love story.
With a
latched
love
on.
story latched in there that feels very natural.
Natural, yeah.
Most of the time. Sometimes it feels very spoon.
That's because sometimes I think they're
It's a
because
little bit
of the
too fucking
conflicts.
coy at times,
Yeah.
where it's like it's fucking obvious
Yeah.
that you love each other. So
But
fucking
that
sort
might
it
be
out.
that might be coy for us. It probably isn't in Japan, I would imagine.
The whole point behind it is that Kakaru, yes, he may be in love with her and he knows he is and he tells her he is.
But it keeps her at arm's length.
But he-
because it doesn't.
yeah.
If they fall in love, she's got to lose something extra, and he has as well.
He's afraid of hurting her, which is what he says to Hiroto in episode 5, 6.
Yeah.
He turns around and says, is it okay for me to fall in love with her because I don't want to hurt someone else? Because he's got
Of what has
shit going
happened
on.
before,
Yeah,
yeah.
he is not in a place that he wants to be in. And on that note, it's time for us to chuff off. All you summoners can join us next time, where we will finish episodes 7 to 13 of Orange. If you've got any questions or queries, or just want to see what we're up to, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at How Not to Summon, or join our Discord at How Not to Summon a Podcast. You can also enter our competition on any of those social platforms as well, so don't forget to send in your favourite quote or phrase that we've said from any of our previous animes.
Get a free t-shirt.
Get some free shit.
I've been Shinny Senpai.
I've been Jim.
I've been Grayson.
See you later.
See ya.
Ta-ra.